Hi, everybody. It's Heidi from Costume Co. Sorry. Okay. Just having a few little issues at the beginning of the stream here, but I want to say hello to everyone and welcome back to another live stream. I haven't been on actually. We were off for a couple of weeks, but I have a wonderful guest that I'm welcoming. I guess your stage name is like Brainstar Cosplay, but her real name is Melissa. Hi, Melissa.
Hi.
Here, let me see if people can see it. So we weren't sure. We were having some issues with her camera. So I don't know if you guys can see her. If you can see her, let us know in the chat, okay? So how's everyone doing tonight? Hopefully you're good. So anyway, so Melissa, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself? Like we sort of met through social media, but let everybody know a little bit about you.
Well, I'm 35 years old. So I'm a bit of an older costumer. I got started by just making Halloween costumes when I was a kid. And then my grandma taught me how to sew and how to knit and crochet. And from there, I just kind of developed a hobby for it, and I really love it. But otherwise, I'm a high school teacher, and I just started working at the Royal Winnipeg Ballet in the costume department as well.
Okay, so guys, for some reason I can't see Melissa, but I'm looking at you, Melissa. You're on camera, so it's something on my end. So everyone, so Melissa, everyone can see you.
Yay!
And she's got some of her costumes in behind you, which is really cool. So I'm just looking at them from the camera here. So what do you have behind you there?
A whole bunch of stuff. I have what I'm working on now. This is Samus's Metroid Prime gravity suit. It's the purple one with blue lights. I have the Sons of the Harpy mask and then a dragon mask for my Daenerys masquerade costume. Not sure if it can be seen. There we go.
Yeah.
I have Melisandre's necklace, which is lit up. The big duck thing is from Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it.
No, I saw some of your pictures, but I'm not familiar with it.
It's a YouTube series.
Oh, okay. And you were the costume designer for that?
For the YouTube series?
Yeah.
No. It's just a cosplay of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I have the Cersei Lannister blue dress. And then along the line, I have Arwen's dyeing dress, Melisandre's dress, a Daenerys one, and Shani and Trixie Mattel.
Those look amazing.
Thanks.
Yeah. So, and you guys, we're gonna actually look at some really good pictures, like some close-up pictures and everything. And I just want to say hello. There's a few people here. So 30 Days is here. Melissa, he sort of helps with my moderating. Angel Over is here. Bubble Husky, hello. And Angel Over says I can see her. So I don't know what's going on. It's on my end, guys. I apologize about that. Yeah, it sort of seemed like, I don't know, it seems like today is a little bit of an off day. I don't know what's going on. So anyway, Melissa's from Winnipeg, and I've talked about this before because, of course, I've lived in Winnipeg. And so were you born and bred in Winnipeg?
Oh, yeah.
And sorry, go ahead.
The only time I haven't lived in Winnipeg is when I lived in Japan teaching English. But otherwise, I'm
yes. So what's the weather there like right now?
Not too bad, actually. It's pretty warm.
Well, it's funny. My brother lives in Winnipeg, but he's here right now in Toronto. And he came over for dinner last night. And he said to me, he says, the rest of the country thinks that Toronto is a joke. And of course, I kind of got upset with him. I was just like, what is that supposed to mean? So I was like, well, we're the largest city. So that's, obviously that's what happened. But I actually lived in Winnipeg. I think I told you this, right? For 4 years I lived there. I lived in River Heights. So I don't know. You don't have to say what part of the city you're in, but do you know that area?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Pretty Dark says, yeah, it's been nice here. Pretty Dark's in Winnipeg as well. Do you know Pretty Dark?
I think I might have her on Instagram.
Okay.
That's the same person as last time.
She seems to know you. She was asking Pretty Dark, just say in the chat how you know Brainstar Cosplay or Melissa. So now, okay, so in terms of like, so you're 35. So how did you sort of get interested in costumes?
Halloween. So before cosplay was a thing, it was about Halloween. So
Okay.
I always make Halloween costumes. Yeah, since I was a kid. Excuse me.
Yeah, but then when did you start doing more like these types of costumes, like the ones that you in your portfolio? How long have you been doing that?
Probably since university. So the first bigger costume I did when I was in university was Xena Warrior Princess. And that's actually when I met my husband. We went to a party. I was in a Xena costume. But when I made my Samus costume originally, I didn't know about cosplay or about conventions. And after I made it for Halloween, a friend of mine was like, you should take that to Comic-Con. And I did. And then I realized, hey, I can wear costumes other than Halloween.
Yeah.
So then I started making them more.
So like, okay, I know you attend a lot of different cons. So what's the situation like out west? Like what's the fandom like out that way for people like me who don't know?
It's getting bigger. So the first year I went was in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm pretty new at the cosplay convention scene. But yeah, there's more and more conventions popping up all the time. So yeah, and then the costumes are getting crazier every year. But it's still got a lot of room for growth, I think.
So like, so the ones you go to, are they in Winnipeg? Are they in Alberta? Whereabouts are they?
Mostly in Winnipeg. I did go to Calgary Expo last year, or no, just this spring. But that was the only out of town convention I've ever been to.
And now, so it's not just you who does it. You've got your husband's doing it. You've got I saw your mom was doing it. You have a lot of friends who like are into doing cosplay like you are.
Yeah, as long as I make them a costume, they'll wear it.
Oh, sorry, what's that?
I said as long as people are accepting of a costume that'll make them, they'll wear it.
Oh, okay. So do you like, does your husband say to you, I have a request, this is what I'd really like to do, or how does that work?
I asked him what he'd like to be, or you'd look amazing in that. So making it. So his One Punch Man costume was something that I saw right away because he's bald and he looks just like the guy. And when he got the costume, he was so excited.
Yeah.
So like, I'd like to be that. I'd like to help out with it. So hopefully he'll help out more.
So but you said he cut his hair shorter for it, like he trimmed it down more?
He was pretty much there anyway.
It's like my husband. My husband's bald. Bald men are sexy. So I just want to say everybody out there, 30 Days knows that I think that. He's one of my 30 Days is a fellow creator. He's also bald. So we've talked about bald men are sexy.
I pretty much shave his head and then I just put foundation on it to get rid of the grayness.
That's
so then
awesome.
It looks pretty flush.
Yeah. So, but he has, like when he was Woody, was he wearing a wig for that? I'm trying to remember.
No, the hat was so big, we didn't need to bother.
You didn't need to bother with that. Yeah. No. So now in terms of your skills, did you go to school for any of this or is this self-taught? How did you sort of get to that point?
Oh, just self-taught. Like
really
for taking. Yeah.
I'm actually pretty amazed at that. Oh, Fatima Designs is here. So actually I've got Romy, she's a costume designer. I had her on a couple of weeks, everybody. And she is a professional costume designer. She's professionally, trained. And so when I saw your stuff, I was like, oh my God, this stuff's amazing, So I'm actually pretty shocked that you've never been professionally trained.
Yeah, I just learned stuff like certain skills from my grandma, and then I'd go from there and I'd come out with a whole set of like Barbie clothes, and she'd be like, what happened? How did you do that? I was like, I don't know. So I just always liked doing stuff like that.
So did your grandma, does she sew?
She used to sew like all of my clothes. She would knit all my sweaters and crochet everything. So she taught me the basic skills, and then I would just take that skill and fly with it.
I find a lot of people, like my mom sewed, my aunt sewed, my sister sews too. I find people like Romy, I know what she's talking about. She learned her embroidery. I think, Romy, was it your grandmother? But a lot of people, I think women, young women and men, they pick up a lot of this sometimes from family members. And I think that's a really great way to learn how to do a craft.
Yeah, there's a lot of creative people in my family on both my mom and dad's side. So maybe it's genetic. I don't know.
Let's see. Oh, Pretty Dark says she does follow you on Instagram, and she met her here in our, and I guess in our channel. Hi, Pusa Studios is here. Hello, everyone. Montreal. Wow, we've got a Canadian contingent here, guys. This is awesome. And Pretty Dark says, she's saying hi to everybody. Pretty Dark says, Heidi, I think a lot of your regular viewers are makers. Yes, I think we have a lot of cosplay makers, creative types on here, which is why I love you guys so much, because everyone's so creative, and I think that's awesome. Okay, so what else do I have to ask you? So what was the first costume you ever did? Like, was it the Arwen? What was the first like major one that you took on?
The first major one was probably the Samus costume. It was my first film costume.
Okay.
And that was my first convention costume. But very first costume, I used to make them when I was kids just for Halloween. Other than my Xena one, that was my first one that I like really sewed something.
Now I saw something on your Instagram. Are you making a new Xena?
Yeah, I am.
You are. So you're just sort of in the early stages. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was waiting to go up for this costume. So while that was being shipped, I think because of the postal strike, I had to wait too long. I was hoping to roll this one out for the last convention, but I got the shipment way too late. So I just started sewing up the Xena while I was waiting.
That's awesome. Okay, so do you want to get to the costumes and start talking about them? What do you think?
Sure.
Okay, so what we're going to do, everybody, it's sort of like when Romy was here last time. I put together like a slideshow. I just roughly showed this to Melissa, so but she'll know the stuff as she sees it, because I stole all the pictures from your Instagram. Actually, I combed over your Facebook, but then I went to your Instagram and I'm like, oh, there's a bunch more stuff here. So who's this pretty lady here in the picture?
Snow White.
It's you dressed as Snow White. Now is that your natural eye color? I don't mean to like, make you feel uncomfortable or anything, but your eyes are so blue.
Yeah, they're that color. They used to be blue when I was a kid. They were the same color as that dress, and then they started to a gray.
Yeah, and I think just the fact that you have that, really, really dark black wig, it just really, punches it up so much more. It's a really great picture. Yeah, Pusa Studios as well. That's beautiful. Okay, so that's the title page. So we're going to start with, are you okay if we start with Lord of the Rings, Arwen?
Yeah.
Okay, so it may not be in order that you've made it, but I just sort of, it kind of organically worked out this way, guys. So, all right. So what do you want to tell us about this picture here? Who's this funny looking guy in the middle?
That's Mr. Frodo Baggins himself.
Yeah. My husband's like, wait a second, is that?
That's Elijah Wood.
Elijah Wood. That was pretty cool. So where were you here?
Like, that was at Calgary Expo in the spring.
Okay. So they had a pretty good celebrity turnout then.
Yeah, it was awesome. So Khal Drogo was there. So like people from costumes I made were there. So I was pretty excited. I also
awesome.
With John Rhys Davies in this dress, who was Gimli.
Oh, really? That's very cool.
He was so nice.
Yeah.
I love that guy.
Because I saw your Khal Drogo picture. I've heard he's really lovely. I've heard he's a really nice guy. The actor who plays Khal Drogo. What's his name? You guys will know in the chat.
Jason Momoa.
Jason Momoa. 30 Days says you're very pretty. That's nice. 30 Days. He's such a charm. Okay. He's a part-time firefighter. But you're married. She is married 30 Days, so just forget about it.
Yeah, my husband's right there, the bald one.
Yeah, that's her husband there. And okay, so here I've got some close-up pictures of the dress. So here's a really one of the things I love is that you do really great photos. A lot of cosplayers don't take good pictures of their work, so it's really nice that you do that. You have this one on the left with the sleeves sort of tacked up, which is nice. You get to see them. So tell us a little bit about this costume and how you came to make it.
It was a lot of research at first because there's not a lot of photos of the dresses. Like a lot of Lord of the Rings costumes, it's really hard, ironically, to find good pictures of all the stuff because of all the lighting and the filters. So getting the color right, getting,
absolutely,
that are blurry are really hard because this was a lot further back than I'd like to admit when I watched the movies. I think it was like 2001. So yeah, getting the research done was tough. And I think originally it might have been a 2-part dress, like a slip over it, but it works better if it's attached. Because like you can see the blue part with the red trim and then the red dress, which should be like something underneath, but
yes, yeah,
be attached. So mine's attached, and it was a lot of embroidery work and a lot of guesswork at the embroidery because all I could find were blurry photos. The fabric for the trim I also had to dye to get it the right color because it was kind of Christmassy fabric and I didn't want it so bright.
Sure. So what kind of fabric did you use?
It's velvet for the blue and the red, and then it's like a paisley for the sleeves. And then it is kind of a Christmas fabric for the red trim around the collar, but it's
sure.
Yeah.
We don't judge here. I'm all for using the materials that we need to use. I don't know. Oh, so actually, we've got a picture of it here without the sleeves. So, so you made the sleeves detachable, or they just hadn't been attached yet?
Oh, that's a progress photo. So yeah, they haven't.
Oh, that's a progress photo. Yeah. Okay. So, and then this embroidery that we see here, you've done that on top of the fabric. You've added that up.
Yeah, I actually did it on some chiffon first and then just put it as an overlay because it kind of had an antique look.
Sure.
But every time I do a project, I look back and like, I should have done it this way. So I should have done it on a piece of fabric instead, but it still worked out. But it does have a good antique look as a result. So.
Mm-hmm. I love your embroidery. Actually, we had Romy on a couple of weeks ago, and she does embroidery, and it's exquisite. And she learned that from her grandmother. And where are you learning your embroidery from? Is it just sort of trial and error? Are you reading books? Are you watching YouTube videos? How are you doing that? Coming to learn that?
I just find photos online, like instruction, like photos, and do it. And if I can't figure it out, then I guess my way through it. But these are pretty simple. Mm-hmm. Embroidery things. So there's like French knots and like chains and all that. So it wasn't that tricky.
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
So it took a long time. When I watched the video of them making this dress, they're like, there's hundreds of hours of embroidery. And like, it doesn't look like it. I could probably do it. I was like, no, there's a lot of embroidery. Like,
absolutely.
Takes a lot.
Now in Winnipeg, where do you buy your supplies? Or do you have your go-to stores?
Yeah, for the embroidery floss, I wait for the 15% deals at Michael's. And I pick all the floss. And then for fabric, we don't have a lot in Winnipeg, so I tend to get most of my stuff at Fabricland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There used to be a fashion district there, wasn't there? Or maybe I'm thinking of Hamilton. No, I don't think Winnipeg that big. I don't even remember, to be honest with you. I think we just went to Fabricland, like you said. I still do.
There was one downtown that closed down, and then I can't remember the names of them. There's like Mitchell's, and there's one by, so I don't know. Yeah.
Because when I talk to a few of the other people, they like to go to, like Hobby Lobby, which is like American though. But I think for us, Michael's is probably our equivalent, or, Fabricland. Do you like to shop online at all? I know a lot of cosplayers do.
It's kind of hard for fabric sometimes because you never know if the color or the sheen is going to be just right. So I like to see my fabrics. But sometimes I've bought embroidery floss online if it's cheaper, especially for metallics.
Sure. Pretty Dark said she just watched Fellowship of the Ring today. She said, great costume. And she said, we still have Marshall fabrics, but other than that, it's Fabricland, she says.
Yeah.
So for I don't know if there's anybody else from Winnipeg on here. I don't, probably not, but we have someone from Montreal, so that's cool. So now this is your husband here. We just saw him in the picture here with Elijah Wood and you. You guys attended this con together, obviously dressed in these costumes.
Of course.
And so what's this character? I'm not even familiar, guys. Everyone knows that I'm not really that familiar with comic characters as much.
Well, if you have Netflix, you can watch it. It's called One Punch Man, and the main character is Saitama. It's kind of a parody of other Japanese cartoons where everyone's like, I got my power from the gods. Whereas this guy, he's just like, I just did a bunch of push-ups and sit-ups and ran a bunch until my hair fell out, but now I'm strong.
That's awesome.
He defeats everybody with one punch. It's really funny.
That sounds awesome. Is it animated? It says web comic. Is it an animated show?
It's an anime, yeah. So it's a
Anime.
Japanese.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's on Netflix. Anybody wants to see that. So here's some close-up pictures of the costume. And no, so did you make this all, or did your husband help you with this?
I made it all.
Mm-hmm.
So I took copies of his clothes and made him a onesie, and then just made the cape. It wasn't that difficult to make it, but the end result was pretty funny.
I love it. And did you use what kind of fabric did you use for the bodysuit?
It's a slight stretch fabric. I don't know. Anytime I go shopping into Fabricland, I look in the bargain section, and it's always like unknown fabric. So that's all I can really describe it as for most of my fabrics.
That's hilarious.
A bunch of ideas in my head, so anytime I'm in the bargain bin, I can just say like, yes, $4, $4. Yeah, it's some kind of yellow stretch fabric. It's a bit thicker, which was good because it's a bit tighter.
Yeah, but it's got does it have a little bit of give though? A little bit of stretch?
Oh yeah, for sure. I made sure it wasn't too tight. Tighter than a jeans, but not too much.
Yeah. And then did you do like a full boot, or did you just do a foot cover?
So he had a pair of old shoes, so like a pair of old dress shoes. So I made a boot cover and glued it with contact cement onto his boot.
Oh, that's awesome. And then how does he get in and out of there? Like they're a knee-high boot?
Yeah, so he just slips in. It was a lace-up shoe, but we just took the laces out and glued it in, and he can slip in and out pretty easily.
Oh, okay.
But it's a stretch fabric. The pleather stretches too, so it's not hard.
So this picture of him on the left with the Joker, is that like is he on stage at some kind of like at the con there, or? Yeah,
this is our just recently passed Central Canada Comic Con.
Mm-hmm.
We had some walk-ons while we were waiting for judging, and he decided to run on, and he's picking his nose there.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So, all right, and then here you are as Snow White. And how long ago was this picture, or how long ago did you do this costume?
This one was quite a while ago. The reason why I made this costume was because after I made my Samus costume, there was a local volunteer group called the Costume Alliance who wanted me to join them, but didn't have a lot of costumes to wear. So I made this one because the group does a lot of work with kids and special needs groups, other children's hospitals. So they needed people who can make costumes and do stuff like that. So I made that for this. So that was 2015, I think.
In 2015?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's some close-ups of it. What is of the sleeve? No, what's going on? Why are you getting out of a police car in this picture here on the bottom right?
This was at a community event, so we were all volunteering, and the police were there, and they wanted us to take photos in their car.
It's really cute. I love that picture.
There were a whole bunch of us that did that. Yeah.
Yeah. So and I guess you guys did stuff that obviously the kids would know. Like, so you chose. Did they ask you to do Snow White, or you chose that? Like, is there something about Snow White that you like?
Well, the whole group had started quite a while ago, so there were already a whole bunch of Disney princesses, and I was like, what's left? And luckily, Snow White was one of them, which is one that I wouldn't mind doing. I'm not big into Disney, but I thought the costume was cute.
It is really cute.
Yeah.
So, how difficult was that to make compared to Arwen or something like that?
I did not have a dress form when I was making this costume, so making the pattern for it was aggravating. So my husband tacking it around my body and like guessing where it's too loose or too tight. So that was the trickiest part. And then the sleeves, just kind of engineering it. Because I just put like shapes onto it, because a lot of costumes just have like a shape or just like ribbons down the side. So I wanted it to look like the movie.
Yeah, so like sort of that slashed look in the sleeves there. And then I think it's laced up. Oh, I don't have a picture of the back. Do I not have a picture? Oh, yeah, I guess it's the top left. Top left, it laces up at the back, I guess, right?
Yeah, and then I just snap in the collar underneath.
Yeah. And did you do a crinoline for it?
Yeah, I bought one cheap on eBay.
Oh, okay.
It was like $7. The hoop at the bottom.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The poop.
Hello, sorry, Cat Yellow Ranger is here. Hello. They say One Punch Man is on Toonami as well. at least in the States. So yeah, I'm not familiar with that. And Goddess Estrella is here. Says, hey, everyone. Blah, blah, I can't read. Sorry, guys. Hey, everyone. Sorry, I'm late to the stream. Blame my hubby. He took me to dinner. Oh, that's so nice. Well, welcome. We haven't been here that long, so you're not that late. We're just, yeah. So for anybody who's joining us right now, I've got Brainstar Cosplay is here. She is a costume and prop maker, and her real name is Melissa. So, and I'm just meeting you for the first time as well, because we met through Facebook. You sent me some of your pictures, which of course I was like, oh my God, these are amazing.
Yeah,
So,
I saw that you would like show some people's photos on your videos sometimes if they did like a remake or a design. So I was like, I'll just do some of my stuff.
yeah, and you know it's funny because like I was doing this thing called Show Your Art, and I was doing it for a while, and then but then I started doing live streams, so I was finding it was getting a little harder to do. So what I've been doing more lately is just having people on the live stream or just featuring their costumes on the live stream. So I might go back to doing that, but that's yeah, so that's great. And I'd ask people if they wanted to send me their art, or I'll shout it, you know, I'll share it on. I think I shared your stuff out on Twitter, but I don't think you're on Twitter. Right? I think we talked. No, you're not on Twitter, yeah. And by the way, I have Melissa's like if you guys go, if you want to look at all of her artwork, all of her designs, I have your social media all in the description below, so you know anyone can check you out there. You're on Facebook, Instagram, and where's the other place you are? Are you on those two places? I think that was it, right?
Mostly those two, because I like posting photos mostly.
Yeah. So, okay, so let's go on. So now, is this also for the kids why you did the Woody, or was this just for something else?
It was for the kids as well. We didn't know what that he could be, and we thought of this, and I just made
it's great.
Out of foam. Yeah.
Now, does it say Andy on the bottom of his boot? I was wondering about that.
It's a foam boot cover, so there's on the bottom, but his own foot.
Oh, I see. Okay, so he just slips it over top of his own boots.
Yeah, he puts his shoe inside and then he slips his foot into it.
Yeah. So what's this event that you're at here on the right? This is
It was a parade, like an out of town parade that we were invited to. So the group Costume Alliance gets invited to a whole bunch of different parades, including like the Claus parade and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, community parade there.
That's a really nice that must feel really good doing this type of event. Working with the kids.
Unfortunately, I haven't been able to be so involved because my job teaching high school was so busy.
Yeah.
But I'd like to be. It's just tough sometimes, but they do a lot of really good work.
That's awesome. Okay, so here I just did sort of a collage here. So these are the close-ups. So like the bandana and the shirt, you did that yourself, right? Did you do the block printing on the scarf yourself?
Yeah, it's all hand drawn on with like a fabric, because I couldn't find patterns similar to what Woody had for his, so I just copied that on there 100 times. And then the buckles and everything are made of foam. You can see there's a lot of wear and tear to it from like bending over and jumping around with kids.
Oh, really? I didn't even notice. I didn't notice. Yeah. And then and then you did marker as well to do the sort of the plaid, the grid on the shirt too, right?
Yeah, now thinking back, like it would have been a lot faster had I sewn my own shirt with fabric that looked like that, but it's kind of hard to find fabric that looks like that.
Oh, so did you, so you just found a yellow shirt and then you just did that?
It's a white shirt that we dyed yellow, and then because it's hard to find a yellow shirt.
I don't know. I think that turned out pretty good.
Yeah.
Reach for the sky. Oh yeah. So the 30 days was talking about, I love how you guys have the pull string on the back and the ring. And then so 30 days is saying, it says, there's a snake in my boot. And then Cat Yellow Ranger says, yeah, reach for the sky. I think he says a couple of things when you pull it. So does did your husband do that? Like when the kids would come up and try to pull it, would he say something like that? Would he stay in character?
You can actually pull it and it retracts. It's got like, those old key ring things where you can put a key ring from your belt.
That's very cool.
That's what it is. So it's just tucked like inside a little pocket on the inside, and you pull it and he would just say something from the show. He's actually in a music video online from a convention a couple years ago.
That's so cute. Oh my gosh. The kids must have loved that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Has he ever worn this to a con?
Yeah, he did a couple of times.
Okay.
Kids always love playing with it. It's cute with the kids.
Yeah, that must be so cute. Okay, so next, oh, that was a close up. Okay, so next, so this is the one, this is the costume that you said was one of the first big ones that you made, right?
Yeah.
The Samus Aran.
Mhm.
Yeah. Now you have, okay, I read on your bio there, you know, you have this love for this character. And that's
Yeah,
why.
it was one of the like first video games I played with my brother. Hence my kind of cosplay name. We
Mhm.
used to there's an area in the game and it's called Brainstar, but being kids are like, it's Brainstar.
Yeah.
So being my first costume, I decided, that should be my name.
Yeah.
I've always loved the character, and it was like one of the first really strong female video game characters. So I always really liked that.
Yeah. So let's look at some of the pictures here from, well, here's one where the Costume Alliance. So what's that? The one that's on the right that they took a photo of you. Did they just do professional photos?
1 year for one of the expos, they had a photo booth, so they would take a nice photo of you and then put their logo on it for advertising to people notice the group.
Yes. And then the one in the middle is you winning an award. What was the award you won there?
That was the award for Best in Show at Comic-Con 2014.
Mm-hmm. And then this is this you at the same event? These pictures on the left here, where you're just sort of like with other cosplayers?
Yeah, so one is like a Spock imitator from Las Vegas, and then the other is Captain Canada or something like that. I can't remember.
Oh, is it? Yeah, that I have to say that Spock is very good. It looks like Spock.
He's amazing. So yeah, he's a Spock impersonator from Las Vegas. He's really tall as well.
Wow. Oh, so Cat Yellow Ranger saying looks like Warbler or craft foam. Or which part are you talking about? Well, we'll get to that, right? And 30 Days says, does the leg light up? It does, doesn't it?
Well, I can answer those questions because I know what they're talking about. So the construction of the costume is 3mm craft foam with stretch fabric over top. So I just used goop super glue to glue it on. That's before I knew about contact cement. So I learned, like, I made this costume before I knew anything about like Evil Ted or Lightning cosplay or Kamui cosplay, those like famous online people. I didn't know, again, working with foam was a thing like this. So I would have saved a lot of time had I known, because I had to live and learn through a lot of it. But yeah, it's stretch pleather or stretch fabrics over foam, which was made, like, I made patterns over balloons and over other things to get the shape.
Yeah. So do you want to kind of go through these pictures that I have here? Like there's just like the gloves and the shoes and the jetpack and all that.
Yeah, the one on the top left is the glove. It's again, it's a basic Christmas glove or like winter glove with stretch fabric sewn over it. And then the top part, there's a bit of foam over top, and then I put a light inside to light up the little dome. To make the green there, it's like file folder or like, you know, divider plastic.
Oh yeah, okay, that's a good idea.
Yeah, so I don't have a ton of money. Cosplay is expensive, so I'm like, cheap. So that was pretty much free. The middle picture on the top was making the kind of corset, like, body part. So a layer of foam for the base, so I could piece all of it together. I didn't want to like draw on the lines. I wanted it to look like plastic kind of put together, look like a toy. So it makes the natural lines when you cut out all the pieces. Then I have a shoe that I did on the right. Again, covered everything in foam and then put the foam fabric over the foam. The jetpack, it's all pretty much done the same way. Make a pattern, make it as a block first, and then cut all the pieces so they match up perfectly, covered in fabric, put it back together.
What's that one on the bottom middle? Does that go over your head? That's a piece that goes over your head, isn't it?
Yeah, so the pauldrons come off. They're like Velcroed in at the shoulder. And then there's also Velcro that attaches one of the sides, so I can wrap it around my neck, Velcro it together, and then Velcro in the pauldrons. And there's snaps on the bottom of them that snap to my shoulders, because otherwise they would flop everywhere.
Okay.
So they snap to my.
Yeah, and then I think I have, and then, okay, now this one here, oh, Pretty Dark says, she is so my style. And my husband loves Samus. Brains, now this one here, so this is actually you dressed up as obviously Daenerys Targaryen, and then you're displaying your next sort of incarnation of Samus. Is this something that you've done quite recently, or how long ago was this from?
I started working on it later in the summer. But yeah, so I wanted to remake it because anytime you make something, you're like, oh, I made so many mistakes. I'd love to remake it one day. So
Yeah.
I wanted to not use fabric for the next one because pieces where like it would rub, the layer of the color on the fabric would rub off. So that was really unfortunate. It lasted like a day and so much rubbed off. So I was so disappointed after like 300 hours of work.
Yeah.
Chose to try car vinyl. So I bought a whole bunch of vinyl off of wish.com for super cheap. It was like $10 a roll. And that when it rubs together, it doesn't hurt itself. So
yeah,
it's a lot more cost effective.
Yeah. And then you've got like the collar, it kind of illuminates. I mean, so I was going to ask you about this. So have you always had sort of an interest in like electrical things? Because obviously you've got a lot of that in your costumes. A lot of sort of
just the Melisandre and the Samus costumes. I have lights. It's super fun working with lights. Like everybody likes looking at it. It's flashy. It's fun, and it's easy. It's a lot easier than you would think to.
Really? Because I've never done it, so I would be like, I don't know how to do that. I got
a chance to teach grade 9 electronics last year, so I learned it.
That's very cool. So let's look at, I've got sort of a couple of collages here. Now, what I love about your breastplate is that it's very geometric and everything matches up so nicely. So did you do all of this in a pattern first, work it all out, and then cut everything? How did you go about doing this?
So I take my dress form, I cover my dress form in saran wrap, cover that with cellophane tape, and then I draw it all out, and then I make my paper patterns from that. So again, to make it super perfect, I cut it out in chunks and then trace out the pattern on top of it and cut it out from that so that everything matches as much as possible. And then I tape it down together and then glue a chunk on so that it's still solid. Because if you do it one piece at a time, it's not going to match.
Yeah, I noticed you like to use that green, like kind of, what is it, alligator tape? What do you call that tape, guys? It's like a low tack tape.
Painter's tape.
Painter's tape, yeah. So that's sort of one of your go-to tools that you would like to use?
Just to hold stuff together as I glue it. So it's holding it together because I'm just using 3mm foam as a base, but in order to get it the curved shape that I need it to, I tape it on one side and then I use goop glue on the other and I tack it down and then I do it on the other side to make sure it's solidly stuck.
No, I was going to ask you, where do you like doing your I'm getting a bit of feedback right now. Where do you do you have a workroom you work out of? Do you have a studio you work out of? What kind of space do you use to do your projects?
I have a big craft room in my house. Yeah. My husband and I bought a house and I got to choose the room I got to work out of. So
that's awesome. So you're not stuck in the basement then? You're not stuck in the basement working. You got a proper room.
Our little stuff in the basement. Like if I have to Dremel or do something messy, then I'm not doing it in a nice room in my house. I'm doing it in the basement.
Yeah, but the sewing and everything, you have a proper workroom. Yeah. That's awesome. Unless you're working with some stinky glues or something like that too. You probably go outside or go downstairs. Yeah. Okay. So let's go.
Time in Winnipeg for that.
I'm sorry?
Is that there's limited time in Winnipeg for that to be outside doing stuff.
That's true. Yes, we got to keep that in mind. Okay. So next, this is really interesting. Tell us how you went about doing the glove. That's a very cool process.
Yeah, it was really tricky. This one is Worbla. Worbla is a thermoplastic that you heat and form. So I made cellophane molds of my hand and just drew out where I needed the pattern over top of the glove that I'm wearing. And then from that, I molded the pieces for each joint of the finger, which took a long time because it wasn't just like a simple round flat shape. You have to like curve it out, make it look kind of like a finger. So that took a while. And then forming the vinyl over it was a job and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't pulling vinyl over a curve sucks,
Yeah.
especially in such a small project where there's nothing to like pin it down. So it was a lot of pulling and tugging. That thing took forever to make, but I'm so glad it's done.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
The light on it, I had to figure out a way to make it super flat, but still have room for a battery and everything. So it's, there's no actual switch and there's no battery holder. It's just raw wire. Then I just pop in the battery and it's good to go.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah, layers of foam and Worbla again. And then the light, I used, what do you call it? It's clear Worbla. And then I formed it over top of like a Christmas decoration so I could get a whole bunch of clear domes.
Okay.
And then I covered that in clear blue car vinyl for like headlights that people use so that I could be colored. So you can get that in Wish. Well, I got it free, just pay shipping.
So yeah. Nice. So yeah, I've seen you mention Wish a few times. So what's that for people, including myself, who don't know what it is?
Wish?
Mm-hmm.
It's an online shopping place where you can get a whole bunch of really cheap things, like a whole bunch of stuff from China. So a lot of stuff, it's free. You just pay shipping or it's super cheap. And it's really good. Any bad experiences yet with it?
Yeah. So you've had pretty good experience with that? Yeah, because Sheila, who was on here a couple months ago, she gets everything on Amazon. That's her kind of go-to place. So
yeah, if you can't find it on Amazon, like I definitely recommend Amazon more. But if you can, you're willing to wait if you need it cheaper, then Wish is okay.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's awesome. I love that color. That purple is just stunning. It's just amazing.
The reason I couldn't use Amazon was because Wish had such a specific color because it couldn't be and it couldn't be too shiny. It had to be like frosted like this in a specific color. So nobody does hard purple. So I was lucky to find it.
Yeah. Now, I know you did the one glove. Does she have, I guess her other arm is a blaster or something?
Yes.
So you just need the one glove. So, but you'll hopefully be making that at some point soon.
Yes. So I have the green vinyl and everything ready to go.
Yeah.
So time to make it.
I love these photos because this sort of shows what's going on the inside, like people for like 30 days who wants to know sort of how you work this out. Did you want to explain a little bit about this? Working with the lights and the electronics?
Sure. The electronic parts, I, again, purchased off of Wish a roll of like strip lighting. So I got blue LED strip lights because to solder individual LEDs, you have to do it in a certain way where there'd be a lot of wire in between. So you have to do a parallel circuit. So in order to save space in the costume, I used strip lighting. But all you have to do to go around corners to join it is add a bit of wire to either end again. So that was pretty simple to do. So yeah. Time.
Oh, 30 days he put Wish in the chat. So if anybody wants to check it out, it's an app. Yeah. Thanks, guys. That's really nice of you. Shipping will take a while. That's okay. 30 days. By the way, I was going to tell you, Melissa, 30 days. He lives in North Dakota, so he's not that far from you.
Yay.
At the border. Goddess says, sadly with Wish, it can be a case of buyer beware. Okay. Well, you've had good success, though, you said. I mean, it's the same with Amazon. I mean, there's occasionally I've gotten something and I'm like, no, I have to send this back. But for the most part, I've had pretty good success. So I'm going to check it out now because I'm always looking for new places. And then this is, I don't know, what do you call this piece? What do you call this piece? There's a jetpack on the back. What's the front?
Chest plate? I don't know.
What do you call it?
Probably a chest plate.
Chest plate? Yeah.
A different kind of armor, like a space suit that also kind of replicates knight's armor. It's kind of strange.
Now, I know you had it on I think you had it on a half mannequin on the table here, but have you actually tried it on?
Yeah, I have.
And how does it feel?
It feels good. I'm going to make the pauldrons and it might need to be adjusted a little bit because it comes out kind of far, but if the pauldrons match, then it should be fine. But I also might need to make the bottom because what I've been learning through working with vinyl is if the surface is totally flat, it's great. But if there's a curve to it or it starts to twist, it starts to pop up from the foam a little bit. So I'm going to try remaking the bottom part that pops it out a bit.
Sure.
So a little bit more still.
So Xenon, is it Xenon Faye? Just sorry, correct me if I'm wrong saying your name. She says, also, I see that Sailor Moon merch is in the back. Have you done any Sailor Moon cosplay? Princess Serenity is one of my dream cosplays. She's asking.
My very first costume was Sailor Jupiter. I made it in high school to wear to like anime convention at our university, but don't have that anymore because I was, what, 17?
Sure.
But I do have fabric and wigs to make a few. It's just I have supplies to make everything. I'm sure people can relate, but just I have to have the time to make it. So I literally have drawers, and I can turn my camera. Drawers of fabric behind me. This way. It's hard to see.
Now the room you're in,
which angle I'm showing.
Melissa, I can't see you. So the room you're in right now, is that the room that you do your sewing in?
Yeah.
That's your
workspace?
I
have literally like a full dresser full of fabric.
Yeah.
Costumes I haven't made yet.
Yeah. So I can see you on the stream, but I can't see you on my camera. So that's you got a nice workspace there.
Yeah, I love my workspace.
Yeah.
I got a huge Sailor Moon collection in it because I was a huge fan, and I picked up everything I could find while I was living in Japan.
And 30 Days says he wants to know what's up with your duck head. What is that? Is it on the shelf or something? I can't see it.
I'm not sure if I'm on the screen.
You are. I put you on. You're on.
Okay.
Behind her. Oh yeah. We were talking about that earlier.
It's from Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. He's the green guy. It's kind of like Sesame Street, but the horror version. So it starts out, and then every episode ends up with someone like dying, and there's like blood and guts and that kind of thing. So yeah, I like twisted humor like that.
Yeah. 30 Days. We're gonna get to the Targaryen mask shortly. He's asking how you made that, so we'll get to that in a little bit. All right. So next we have, who is this? Is it Shawnee?
Yeah.
Witcher 3, which they're making into a movie. I heard. Well, they're making The Witcher into a movie.
I think it's like a show on Netflix or something, if I'm correct. I'm not too sure.
Is it?
My husband's really looking forward to it.
Oh yes, you're right. It is a show. With Henry Cavill is going to be playing the main character. So tell us a little bit about this. I looked at a picture of her online, and your sort of reproduction of this is pretty much exactly the same. Like, were you happy with this?
Yeah, it worked out pretty well.
Sorry, I didn't have it on the picture. There we go. So what do you want to tell us about this costume then?
Well, this one was like when I saw it, like my husband wanted me to make him a Geralt costume, which is the main protagonist in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, all right, but I guess I should make a matching character. So seeing as how I looked a lot like Shawnee, I used to have that color hair, or I guess more.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, she looks just like me. So I decided to make one of her, and the jacket, like the vest thing, was the hardest part because like the trim on the edge, it's kind of like cut metal that's been applied to the fabric. So to do something like that, I had to kind of think of how to engineer it. So what I did was I used gold puff paint, and I made like I hand drew a pattern of.
I've got the pictures here of it on here. Here it is on the bottom left.
Yeah, on the bottom left, that's the vinyl I used to line my cabinets at home.
Oh yeah,
it's transparent, so I just vinyl over my pattern and taped it down. And then I used puff paint and just puff painted it. And to get the very fine details, I used a pin and kind of dragged it over. So it took quite a long time. So I waited for it to dry, and then I peeled it off. And then I could dye it. So if I made a mistake, I didn't ruin the garment. I could just make a new piece.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, I guess you could trim any little, drips or something if you had any kind of mistake, or if you needed to do that.
Yeah, so it was very rare that I kind of like had a drip because I was just using a fine amount and then just kind of pulling it along. But yeah, if I put it directly on the fabric, it bleeded out just a little bit, so it didn't have the really sharp lines. So I decided to do it this way. Then I just used glue for appliques, and it stuck on really well.
So here, let me go, guys, I'm going to just take you to this picture here because this is just sort of, wait, is this the construction stage? Here, we're sort of just in the construction stage, I think. On the top left here, you've just got sort of the bodice kind of put together. And then you had, how many of these tabs did you have to make for the shoulders? That's a lot.
Remember. I think it was pretty aggravating. I think there were 14 on each side. I want to say like seven and seven, 7 and 7.
Yeah. It's like double layered. They're double layered or offset sort of. I know that. Yeah.
So so it was a pain in the butt to sew them in. So I had to sew them all together so that they would stay in place first. And then because they're double layered, it's quite thick when you're trying to tack it in.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like 6 layers of fabric you're trying to sew at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. So the details, and then you've got the grommets on the side. You had to do that. And then you had to stitch or sew all that puffy paint on. Did you sew it on, or how did you get it on there? You use fabric glue?
Like applique glue?
Yes. And then you had to put little pearls in between as well. Like that's so much detail, right?
Hundreds of pearls. Yeah. I even use like nail art pearls to get the really tiny in there.
Yeah. And then here, I love this. So you crafted the belt from scratch, I think, or how did you make the little...
So the circles are made of Worbla. So there's 2 sizes of circles, and then one's over another one. And then I used leather cutters to cut all the holes. There's a ton of holes, so I had to take a break because it gets pretty painful. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And then I glued pearls to the middle, and then I used puff paint to make details so that I can age it nicely.
Yeah. So how many steps do you think that was altogether that you had to do there?
Cutting Worbla, attaching the circles together, cutting out the dots, attaching the pearls, doing the puff paint, spraying it gold, and then aging it. So yeah, I don't know how many steps.
Wow. And then you had to link them all together.
Yeah, that was just one link. I used the same links that I used to make my chainmail belt for my Cersei dress.
Oh, okay.
Because I had extras.
Yeah. Oh, and here's a close up, everybody, of all the of the trim, which you've done with the puffy paint, and then all the pearls. And then you added these really nice fasteners, which I've seen these on Etsy. I love these fasteners, those hooks there.
Yeah, I got them from Fabricland, and they were silver, but I just painted them gold and aged them and put a clear coat on.
Yeah. And then where did you get the pin or the brooch?
That's made out of Fimo, like oven baked clay. Yeah.
And then so and then you just painted it after with like a metallic gold.
Yep, same gold as everything else, and then I also aged it a little bit to make the details pop.
Cat Yellow Rangers. She's asking how you glued the puff paint to the outfit. Do you want to mean what technique she used? Is that what you mean? She just wants to know how you did it. I can find the brand.
I have the glue.
Yeah. Here, I'll put it on you so they can see you.
It's called Tulip Appian. You can see it.
So what's it called?
So I got it at Michael's.
What's it called? Tulip.
Tulip brand, and it's called Applique Bond.
Yeah, and so it dries clear, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it sticks pretty well.
So did you put the adhesive on the back of the gold and then laid it on the fabric? Or how did you do it?
Yeah, you apply it all over, and then you have to wait a little bit so it's tacky and not wet, and then you can apply it.
Yeah. Tulip Applique Bond, Pretty Dark says. I use one called Gem Tack. That's what we used to use. I don't know, but there's all kinds of brands. And then so of course, then there's lots of details. You've got the purse, and you've got the boots here. And then these, what are these things here on the top middle? I was like, what is that? I can't quite figure it out.
I think I asked my husband as well. I was like, does she ever use this? And he's like, I've never used it in the game. I think it's just old school glasses.
That's what I was wondering. They look like they fold out into, I thought at first it might have been handcuffs or something, but then I was like, oh, right. Are they functional? Do they actually open up like the ones you made?
So what I did was that's just a push pin into it. So I just pushed a hole into it, and then I glued it the backside onto another one, so they do twist. So it's just really basic engineering.
Yeah.
There's just a little piece of 3mm foam in between them so that they don't, like when I glued it, it didn't stick to anything else.
And now, how do you find working with like pleather leather? Do you enjoy it? Like, I know some people love it, some people hate it.
I love it.
You do?
Yeah. So the good thing about pleather is that you can paint it. So if you can't find the exact color you want, you can just paint it. So a lot of the brown, like the Xena one that I have on my Instagram, it's black pleather, but I put some brown paint on it and just rubbed it in, and then just wiped the excess away.
Yeah.
So you can get really good effects.
What kind of sewing machine do you have?
I have a Brother sewing machine. I Costco, super cheap. It was like $200, and it does like all the buttons, monograms. Like, it's awesome.
That's awesome. And you find that you can sew leather or pleather on there pretty well?
Yeah, no problem.
That's awesome. Goddess says, during applique process, steady hand required. Yes. Sometimes tweezers, depending on what you're doing, right? And so did you find like a pair of cute boots that you liked and then just added that cuff to them? Those are really cute boots. I like those.
I already had the boots.
Yeah, they're adorable. So that worked out.
I got them from Payless.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
I got them
Okay.
a year or two ago.
Yeah.
And just boots I wore daily. And I was like, oh, I'll just use these.
Oh, now before we move on here, I just wanted to go back. Who is this fellow here? You're always in this picture with this guy here that's on the bottom right. Who is that?
Oh, he was a guest at Central Canada Comic Con. That's Evil Ted Smith. So if you watch YouTube tutorials on how to build costumes, he does foam armor, and he's actually done a lot of costumes in the film industry, like Star Trek and The Fifth Element he's worked on, and he still does it. So he was a costume guest. So I really like him. He's awesome.
I loved it. So it must have been like, because you have pictures with him in different outfits. So it must have been, he was there all weekend or something?
Yeah, every day I was there. I was like, new selfie day. And he always...
Someone had commented earlier that they noticed there's an Aurora costume in the back, but that's not yours. That's somebody else's.
No, that's a girl. She's another Winnipeg cosplayer. Her Instagram handle is the Foam Queen, and she does a really good job at foam costumes as well.
Now, speaking of that, like, does Winnipeg have a fairly small cosplay community? Like, how big is the community?
Yeah, I would say for our city, it's not big. Like, the community itself, I wouldn't say is tight-knit or anything, but when people go to Comic-Cons, there's a lot of people dressed up. But it's still a pretty small community, but I think it's growing.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, Winnipeg's sort of a medium-sized city. I don't know if anybody hasn't been there. It's a decent-sized city. They've got you guys have got you have a hockey team now.
Go Jets go!
Yeah, well, because when I lived there, the Jets were there, and then they left, or we didn't have it. And then I went to visit my brother, and he's like, "Yeah, we've got a farm baseball team now, and of course you have a football team. You have a football team, right?" But and a huge art scene, really big art scene in Winnipeg. So I always growing up, I always remember there was a really big art scene going on. So I had actually thought about moving back there to live there, and then I don't know what happened. It got derailed somehow. I'm not sure. Otherwise, I would have been living in Winnipeg, I think, because I did really love it. As long as you're used to, if you can get climatized to the cold, right?
Right. Yeah.
Is your husband from Winnipeg?
Yep.
Oh, he's from there. Okay. So these pictures here are sort of how it pretty much the final results, I think. You've got your choker. So you've added I don't know what you call that medical symbol that's on the choker.
Pretty much.
Yeah, it's kind of like the medical symbol. So you've added that to your ribbon, and then you made the blouse and then the skirt, which you also put that same trim on.
Right.
Yeah, it's so pretty. Isn't that nice, everyone? Everyone really likes it, by the way. If you're not watching the the chat. Gotten really nice responses from everybody. So, and then that's you. I don't, oh, you know, the only head to toe picture we have of you in this, that I have of you, is in front of these doors. Where is that? This, where you took that photo. I really like that.
It's a cathedral across from our convention center.
Mm-hmm.
So we look kind of like the video game. I do need to get some like good professional shots of my costumes. I just haven't had the time to do it, but I do have a couple of photographers, because when I won some costume contests, it came as part of the package. So I can't wait to do that. But
Yeah.
I just need to,
yeah. Like, cause,
I have my husband's part of the costume done.
yeah. And one of the things I forgot to ask you is, what about your wigs? Where do you like getting your wigs?
I really like Arta wigs. And if I like here and there, I find stuff online. So this one I actually got in Tokyo.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I got it at a place called Bodyline, which sells it's in Harajuku, a big like cute place to shop. I got it for like $15, so I picked it up. Yeah, anywhere cheap. I always wait for sales on Arta wigs unless I need it right away.
Yeah, the color on that is amazing. And it's a perfect match. Did you have to cut it at all, or was it the style you wanted?
No, it was the style. So last minute, I was like, I'm either going to dye my hair or pull out this wig. And when I pulled it out and blow dried it, I was like, all right, it's good. Unfortunately, I didn't notice in the photos that it started slipping back on my head a bit. And I was like, oh.
Yeah. So, well, if you do a photo shoot, you can, but this one of you, I like this one of you though, in front of the doors. Sorry, I'm just, I like that one. It's a nice one. So hopefully you'll be, yeah, because otherwise you can't see your boots in any of these pictures. You can't see the whole.
Right.
And then you've got like little ribbons or something on your, you know, on your stockings there. Like you've got little ribbon garters or something. So be nice to see.
I think I did get another full one with Evil Ted. It might be on my Instagram, or I might just have it on my phone. I can't remember.
I think I have a picture of you with him in here. Oh, and Herman Bump's mom is here. It's Cindy. She says, hit the like button. Oh, that's so nice. Thank you. And 30 Days says, hey there, Herman Bump's mom. Good reminder. Goddess says, the medical symbol is called, I'm not going to even try to pronounce this. Caduceus? Is that it? Caduceus? Caduceus? Okay. Photoshop can fix the wig slip. Laugh out loud. Yeah, I've had a couple of cosplayers on. They've either done the photo shoots themselves, like they just go somewhere and have it done, but one of the girls, she did have all of her pictures done professionally, and oh wow, it's really amazing. Sometimes she'll do it in exchange for, you know, but you said you won a photo shoot?
Yeah, I won one at Manitoba Con and then this last Canada Con.
Oh yeah, so that would be nice if you could take that up.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm not familiar with this show. I've had lots of people tell me about it. So RuPaul's Drag Race. What's the deal with that show?
Do you know RuPaul?
Of course I do. Yes.
So it's like you have to know RuPaul.
Yes. So I've never seen the show.
It's kind of like the Survivor of drag queens. So they go like all these competitions, and then one gets eliminated each episode. So they do like challenges where they have to make drag costumes out of like dollar store items, or match them to different competitions. So I liked the craftsmanship aspect of it, and all the stuff, and it's just fun to watch.
Yeah, like are they doing like lip syncing? Are they like, you know, they do a performance at some point after they've made their costumes?
They do all kinds of performances. Yeah. So sometimes it's comedy, sometimes acting, sometimes singing.
But now did they have a live show? Because I saw you had a picture where you were at some show. Yeah,
so a lot like drag queens originally are just like live bar club kind of performances. So it just became a show which popularized it. I don't know anything about the scene in Winnipeg for drag queens. But Trixie Mattel was my favorite one from the show. But I originally saw Trixie Mattel on YouTube with Katya doing, So it's a show where they just chat about stuff, and it's hilarious. So I really like Trixie Mattel. So for All Stars, where people who lost get to come back to try again.
Okay, sure.
She came out in this costume, which was kind of a replica, not replica, but the challenge was to do something kind of Spice Girl-esque.
Yeah.
I saw this costume. I'm like, that is the cutest thing. I'm just going to make it for myself. So I bought the fabric and made it. And then Trixie Mattel actually was doing a tour and actually came to Winnipeg. So I was like, I'm wearing this to the show. So I wore this.
So it's kind of like a schoolgirl. She's supposed to be like party pants or something.
I think kind of like a mathlete kind of character.
Yeah.
They had to make up lyrics to a song, so it was all about math and tutoring and kind of.
Now, what about the backpack? Did you make that? That's so cute.
No, that's just a backpack from Stitches. She had a like reflective backpack, and I found one with a heart, and I was like, oh, that's cute. So that one I did make, but the dress I did.
Yeah, you made that. Yeah, you made the little dress, and then the wig, is that from Arda as well?
That one is, yeah. So I had time figuring out how she did her wig, and then after I had ordered the wig and received it, I found out it's actually 2 wigs. So no, so I had to kind of engineer it to look like it. So the way it was originally on the show is you bunch up the hair into a huge bun on top, and then you wrap another wig around the bun.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
What I did was I took one of those mesh bun makers and I stuck it underneath after I like back combed it to heck and just did everything and over that. So I made a huge bump. So,
30 days says he doesn't know who RuPaul is. 30 days you know who RuPaul is. I'm sure you do. If he sings work to the left, work to the right, Shantae, sachet, isn't it? Something like that.
Oh yeah.
And no, he's been around for a long time. She's been around for a long time, RuPaul. So you would totally know her to see her. Know him to see her. So, okay, so we'll move on to Game of Thrones. This is more in my wheelhouse. I know this stuff a bit better. I'm not as like out to lunch on this stuff, guys. How's everyone doing in the chat? Everyone's been kind of quiet. Oh, Angel Lover says, I think a lot of drag queens use 2 wigs to make their hair seem bigger.
Yeah, at least
that makes sense. Yeah, at least 2. So I've just sort of grabbed this group shot. Now here you are. You're with one of the Night Kings, the Night King.
Yeah,
the Night's King. I think he was the first one, and then they changed him, I think, partway through. This is a thing. So where are you here? What con is this one?
This is Manitoba Con.
And that's your mom, right? Your mom and you and your husband? That's so sweet.
She looked just like her because she's got the hair.
That's her own hair?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I was wondering because you're wearing the costume at one point and you're wearing a wig, but then I looked at your mom's and I'm like, I don't think that's the same wig. I wonder if that's her hair. So that must have been fun. Like, families that cosplay together, stay together. That dragon though is sweet, says 30 Days. Totally, it is. So there you are with Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
And you're dressed up as Daenerys Targaryen, and you're with Jorah Mormont, which actually that's good for a couple, I think. Do you think that those two have something going on? Might have had something going on?
No, he's just in love with her. But at Calgary, everyone's like, "There's Daenerys in friend zone."
That's awesome. I love it.
When we actually went into the costume contest just for fun, because you can see the costumes up close rather than from the seats. If you actually enter the contest, we're like, oh, let's just enter. So when we went on stage, we decided for fun that like he had my egg and he passed it to me, and I pretended like I was about to kiss him, and then I turned away and he looked all sad.
Aww. Well, she usually just kisses him on the cheek or something. She'll kiss him on the cheek. She won't ever do the mouth.
The whole, and crowd just went silent, and everyone's like, "What the hell happened out there?" And I was like, "I pretended I was going to kiss him," and everyone just shut up. It was kind of awkward.
Poor Jorah. Yeah. So anyway, I just have them in like kind of order of because I had the group of you, but so I'm just going to start with Jorah, if that's okay. So you had to do a lot of the fabric yourself on this. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so I think fabric shopping is like the worst part of a cosplay. To get everything so precise or anything like how you want it. So he has this kind of fleur-de-lis kind of pattern, but it's got kind of a loop to the top. So of course I couldn't do anything even remotely like that. So I just took some fabric I already had, I sprayed it with a spray bottle with bleach to kind of age it a little bit, so it's kind of speckled.
Yeah.
And then I just took an eraser, carved the pattern into it that I needed, and stamped it with Japanese ink. So Japanese ink gave me the darkest results with no bleeding. So it's for like calligraphy. So I bought it while I was in Japan from the dollar store. Yeah, and it worked. You just can't get it wet or it'll all wash off. So
Oh, okay. Oh, really? It will rinse off if you get it wet.
Yeah, because it's not fabric paint. It's just ink. So,
Yeah.
But my husband's very careful, luckily.
Yeah.
Well, he's clumsy, guys.
Now, I think I have now for the tab skirts that you made. I think I had a picture of the pattern you made. Do I not? You ended up making a pattern, right? To do that.
Yeah. So the top right you have there, I cut I couldn't find any fabric like that as well, and I didn't want to draw out the design, so I cut from a big piece of painter's paper all the swirls, and then I just used a stippling brush and some acrylic paint and stippled it on.
Yeah, and I like that because then it's not completely uniform. It's sort of like a regular. I like that.
Yeah, so it's not perfect, and then I went over it with sanding paper to rough it up.
Yep.
I used what do you call it? Artist chalk in different colors and rubbed it in and dusted it because he looks very dusty in the show. So I dusted it up with chalk and stuff.
Yeah, he always looks like he hasn't showered in months.
Well, the costume gets dirtier and dirtier as he goes on. Finally, the last season he had a completely new costume. So he's the longest, I think, of anybody.
Absolutely. I think maybe him and Arya might be slightly tied. Xenon Face says, this is stunning. And Pretty Dark says, this is such beautiful work. And Cat Yellow Ranger says, I am not big on Game of Thrones, but I love Daenerys's Bedouin outfit. Yes. And Cindy says, so cool. And then, and Goddess says, has anyone seen the news about Kit Harington finally cutting his hair? Yeah, actually, I tweeted a picture of him. I don't know if you saw that. He's cut his hair short. And then he's got like a porn stash or something. So I'm not sure. But it's weird. I have to say, it's really weird to see him like that. We're just not used to it, right? So, and then this is the shirt you made. What did you make the shirt out of?
It's just a regular quilting cotton that I had in white. So I just had a bunch of extra white and then I dyed it yellow. And I tried to do a terrible job at it because his sun bleached and dirty. And then after I bleached it, I made it wet again and I just kind of dotted some brown dye on it here and there. And then to darken up some spots, I used brown eyeshadow on little corners and stuff just to
looks great.
age it in a dusty way.
Oh, and I'll go back here. And then you've got this, he's got his little scarf. And then did you make the little brooch? The little kind of like, it's like a little fibula or something.
Yeah, I used wire and used Warbler to like surround it and cut in the edges. The fabric around it is actually brown, and I couldn't dye it because the dye wouldn't take because I guess it was polyester. Again, from the it's like you don't know what fabric.
Yeah.
I used chalk again. I used chalk and then I hairsprayed it, which kept it didn't rub off. So I was so happy.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, because I wanted that pattern because his is actually woven, kind of like how Vikings kind of weave. And I can't do that. I tried doing a friendship bracelet kind of stuff. I was like, this is going to take years. So I had to scrap that.
Yeah. Goddess says, sadly, Hair Watch has ended. I think she means Kit Harington. So, and then is there anything else you wanted to, what about the belt? I can't quite see the belt too well, but how did you make the belt?
The belt is like faux leather with foam that I glued on top that I used like a wood burner to burn kind of the design into it. I painted it and aged it and stuck them on. And then the buckle, you can't find buckles very easily for cosplay, so I just made one out of Warbler and foam. Oh,
wow. Okay. Well, it goes to show you that doing cosplay, you have to sort of have so many different skill sets, to be able to do it, because you're using so many different types of tools, right?
Yeah, and it's a big learning process. Finish and you're like, oh, this is awesome, and then you look back and like, oh, that wasn't so good. I want to redo it.
And then so this is your Daenerys. Oh, we were calling this one her Conqueror's dress. That's what Tatiana, one of my other girls, she calls this the Conqueror dress. I don't know what you call it. So how did you find making this costume?
Oh my God.
Mhm.
So part of it was doing all of the mundane, simple stitches all over the dress. So there's
Mhm.
not an inch dress that doesn't have a stitch in it. And I don't think it's easy to see when you're watching the show that the entire thing has a stitch.
Mhm.
All hand done. So I was like, I can't be cheap and use my machine because it's not going to look right. So yeah, the whole thing has like a big like running stitch on it. And then the rest of it is like the dragon scale. But the dress itself was fine to make, but it's
Mhm.
just the embroidery. It took forever. And it's just really boring, monotonous stitching.
So did you go to Michelle's website and watch her tutorial and how she did it and
Yeah.
follow her instructions?
Yeah, I did. There was also someone else on YouTube who made a really good video for the dragon scale smocking, so I kind of followed that as well, which is very helpful. But the other embroidery stitch, I couldn't find any good sources for it, so I had to guess my way through it. But now I know how to do it better as well because I kind of did it
Is
wrong.
that the is that the lock stitch? Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, you do like a big stitch across and across and across, and then you like loop it through. But when I did it, I didn't do like across and across. I did like stitch, 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 across, across, across. So I did, but it still looks the same.
Yeah, and it's almost like from the pictures I've seen, it's kind of almost buried underneath the smocking. Like it kind of isn't always like right on top. It's sort of like woven in between the way she's done it. And it's very irregular, kind of organic. So now in this picture here on the right, you can really see your running stitch that you've done. Can you guys see that? And now this is obviously so you're doing a lot of pinning, and hand sewing. So you made the dragon scale out of the same fabric, but then you appliqued it on? Is that how you did it?
Yeah, so this is made out of taffeta. I think I spent like $16 just on the fabric because I don't have money for paper silk. So, color matching again was hard because after that everything was kind of bleached in the sun. So I was like, oh, it's not the right color. But I used Michelle Carey's website, but it actually was the right color to start. Costumes get old. So yeah, that's the process I used. The only thing I couldn't use on this one was the Italian mesh wire because that's impossible to get or incredibly expensive. So I don't have that on here.
Yeah, because she bought it in England. All that stuff, most of the stuff she gets is from England. So, you were just trying to use local products, I assume.
Yeah, and I just don't have the money for it. Would have been expensive.
Yeah, but you got the Mayuki beads though.
Yeah, Michelle Carricker on her website actually like wrote down what kind of beads she used.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
Yeah, and they're sort of like mother of pearl, kind of iridescent, a bit greeny, I think. Did you use a variety?
Yeah, it's like an aged gold kind of bronzy color and it kind of looks like it's been, like old bronze, it gets blue, kind of looks like that.
Yeah, like the patina of it oxidizing sort of thing. But yeah, it looks really great. So were you happy with the results? How did you feel about it?
It was good. I made it for a friend's wedding social for a masquerade. So, and then I did all the embroidery afterwards. So I finally buckled down and finished it. And the end result I really liked. And I think it's fine. It is a little shorter than her dress. So that afterwards you could always kind of judge and like, this is too short. This is this. Oh, I actually found out how it was made. So
yeah, but you wore pants with it though, right? You ended up so she wears the pants with it. So here's and there you are then with Evil Ted. Is it Evil Ted? Evil Ted again. So as 30 Days was asking, he wanted to know how you made this mask, which is amazing. And the purse. She made the purse as well, guys. So how did you make that?
Well, I have it behind me. I'll just pull it off.
Here, I'll just put you on then. Okay, she's coming.
Okay. The mask is made out of warbler. I'll just pull it off the dress. What I did was I covered my face in cellophane, just my eyes, and then I taped it and I drew out what I did. So I got the shape exactly right. Then I used that pattern to cut out foam for the body. And then I covered the foam with warbler. And then I pressed it to my face while it was warm. So not too hot because you'll burn yourself. Then I made the wings. And Warbler is really good to use because you can use a single layer of it, and it's really thin and it's really solid. So I made the arm and the leg, and then I attached like the wings that I made. And then I used carving tools and extra little bits of Warbler to make the dragon texture. And then I dry brushed it a whole bunch to get different tones. And then I used clear nail polish just on the eye to make it shiny.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I've got a few comments here. Xenon Faye is wondering what fabric would make a good silk replacement for my poor self. Taffeta noted. Well, you could do synthetic taffeta. Doesn't have to be. Did you use silk taffeta or just a synthetic taffeta? Melissa, can you hear me? Melissa?
Just regular taffeta. I would have rather.
Sorry?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's just regular taffeta, again, from the bargain section.
Yeah. So you don't have to use silk taffeta. You could just use regular, like, not a synthetic taffeta. That would be
it will end up a bit thicker as an overall product, but it worked.
Yeah. And then Pretty Dark says antique bronze, iridescent, gorgeous towel beads. Yes. How do you get in and out of the dress? Xenon Faye wants to know. How do you get in and out?
So how I have it rigged is there's a side zipper, and the opening, like one of the kind of, I want to call it a pedal, is snapped into it. But I think I read after that it actually wraps onto her. It's kind of like a wrap over dress, and I didn't know that. So I engineered it my own way. So it's two separate parts, which made it easier to embroider it in the end.
Yeah. But are the bands tacked down, or do they lift up and then snap down after?
No, they're tacked down. So when I looked at it was embroidered down in some places. So I knew that it was backed into place. Okay.
Oh, 30 Days is asking what Warbler is. Sorry. Oh, he goes,
Warbler?
Oh, no, he says, oh, that's what Warbler is. Oh, yeah, she just explained it earlier, but sorry. If anybody's just joining us, if they want to know what Warbler is, maybe Melissa can explain.
Yeah, Warbler is a plastic. It also has wood in it. So it's plastic and wood combined. When you heat it, it smells like wood. It's a hard sheet, and when you heat it, you can form it, and then when it cools, it's solid again. And you can keep heating it, keep forming it all you want. And if you make mistakes, you can just roll it up again and use it again. So it's a really good material to use. You can make it really thin and get really solid results. You can sand it because it's part wood. Yeah.
And how did you get all that, like these little textures and everything on it? Like you got that nice little dragon scale type texture on the mask. How did you do that? Do you hammer it in or something?
No, those are carving tools, like for traditional carving.
Yep.
My grandmother used to own a ceramics shop, so I inherited all of her tools. So yeah, it's just pressed in with different carving tools. And then it's soft, so you can just push it in.
Sure. And then when you did these little spikes and everything, did you do that with little pieces of Warbler?
Yeah, you just like roll it, and I cut it off at the end, and then you heat up both sides, and it sticks. No glue, no nothing. It's just sticks right to it. And that didn't take very long. And all the really fine spikes, like they'll never come off.
Sure.
So they're on there.
They're on there for good. And how did you do the eye of the dragon?
Just acrylic paint with clear nail polish over top of it.
And now the inside of the purse, like, did you line it, like, or how is
there's green taffeta lining on the inside.
Oh, that's pretty.
My grandmother gave me a little coconut purse from Hawaii, and I kind of mimicked that to make the egg purse. So it's got a little plastic and a button on the side, so it comes apart that way.
It's great. Have you had, and maybe in the future you might do like a different egg, like she has 3 eggs. I think you could do one of each color. You can.
Well, I need one more because one's on my face.
Oh yeah,
one's in the egg.
Exactly.
I just need one more.
Yeah. You're right. Sorry, I'm just saying if you go, which egg purse do I want to take out with me tonight? You're going out for the evening. Okay, so this one. So now here's what I was explaining. You're with Kids in the Hall.
Kevin McDonald.
Okay, so if you guys don't know, we have this thing called Kids in the Hall in Canada, but he was, I think, on Saturday Night Live. I think he was. He did a season there as well.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think he did. I'd have to double check. But anyways, he's a comedian. So you met him here. I guess was he doing a signing or something? How did you guys meet?
Yeah, he was at FanQuest Con, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually lives in Winnipeg now.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, he moved here for love.
Aw, that's so nice. So
he's really cute. He's a nice guy.
He's so funny. He's really funny. I've always loved him. So now, so in the middle is you dressed as Melisandre. So it might be confusing, guys. And then, but then on, you know, the other pictures are your mom dressed as Melisandre with her own hair, but you're wearing a wig. And this dress, like you had to, I remember you were mentioning that you did all these sort of hectograms or whatever, hectagons on there by marker or something, right?
Yeah. So again, Melisandre's fabric is so particular. Like it's got a weird sheen to it. It's probably silk of some kind. And this I got again in the bargain bin. So it's kind of like raincoat material.
Yeah.
Right?
It's really great. It's really great.
Yeah,
fabric.
it worked perfectly. Yeah. And the texture of it is different. But it was just red. So to make the pattern on it, I didn't want it black because it would look cartoony. So
a close
things on it. Because it's so slick, I wouldn't be able to paint it. So I used permanent marker and I had like packages and packages of them. And I just drew over and over again the hexagons, which took longer than sewing the dress.
Well,
but I cut out.
Sorry, go ahead. I was going to ask you now. Did you cut out the pieces first and then do the pattern?
Yeah. So I was just going to say that I cut out so that I could get them perfectly straight.
Yeah. And then lined up as well. Like, so they would lined up. I could see in the center front, the center back, you wanted them to be
kind
matching,
of
matching.
So, yeah, I didn't really think of that when I was doing it because
it seems to work out though.
It's not really going to match up perfectly to what I needed. So I didn't worry about it too much. But in some places I know it's going to line up, some not, because it just billows out so much. So it's too triangular to really make it fit together.
Sorry, Pretty Dark. She says that she went to a screening of The Life of Brian, which is Monty Python, if anybody doesn't know. And she says, I wore a beard and I think I freaked him out. Was he there? Oh, Angel ever asked, what kind of fabric is best for raincoats? Just wondering. Well, it could be like, you know, any kind of waterproof fabric, I suppose. But this type of stuff almost looks like you're saying like it's like a synthetic, slightly shiny type of fabric, I guess. It's waterproof.
Yeah, so I could get rained on and be fine in this one.
Yeah.
Seeing as how
and it's a Sharpie. Well, the Sharpie probably would be permanent, I think.
Yeah.
I
did use $1 for permanent markers and just the smell. Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, actually, it's funny because one of the other cosplayers that I've talked to, she says she doesn't like to use natural fabrics because you never know, you might get caught out in the rain or something. So she says, I don't want to use silk because then it will get wrecked. So at least if I use a synthetic, I know that it'll be fine. Oh, Pretty Dark says Cinematech. I don't know what that means. She says it was a special series of hand-picked films shown through the Winnipeg Film Group at Cinematech. Oh, okay. Cool. All right. So, and this is a kind of a simple dress design, right? It's just a wrap style, kimono style wrap dress.
Right. It's the same pattern I used for the Circe one, except I altered it to have more of a plunging neckline and I altered it to wrap around the side.
Sure. Oh, so actually, Melissa, that brings me to something. So do you make all your own patterns or do you ever use commercial patterns?
It depends on what it is. So if it's something big like this, I might use a commercial pattern. So luckily, I think it was McCall's or something that I got this pattern from. They did a Sansa, or no, this is the Cersei Lannister dress. Changed up a bit. They've been doing stuff like that, and I've just been buying all the patterns, and then I just alter them to what I need it to look like. Because they're never correct exactly, so you just have to tinker with it.
Yeah, for sure. Do you do mock-ups first, or do you just cut right in the regular fabric?
I just usually go right into it, and then I just keep doing it to make sure. And then if I make mistakes, just fix it. Sewing's easier like that.
Okay, so so I showed you guys that, and then this is the necklace. So how did you use Worbla again for the necklace?
Yeah, so I used single strips of it so it wouldn't jab me too much. It would bend a little bit on my neck. And then I used puff paint on it to make all the designs on the edges. And the gem is actually hot glue mixed with fabric dye. So I mixed a tiny bit of fabric dye with a teensy bit of water, and then I used hot glue and my heat gun, and I mixed it because her gem is kind of weird. It's like a raw,
yeah,
ruby.
It's almost like it's almost like an uncut gem.
Yeah,
like it's an unrefined. So that
So yeah, I just heated that, and then while it was still warm, I jammed a red LED in the back. So up, and then I took the plastic casing off of some wire, and then I put it, like, if I flipped it around, you can see that the wire kind of feeds in behind everything until it reaches the back. Because if you put a battery pack right behind it, it would show.
No, I didn't see any pictures of anyone wearing the cloak. So did you had your mom wearing it without the cloak, you wore it without. So did you make this afterward?
No, I had it at the same time, but we wore it in the summer, so there's no way.
Oh, okay.
So I figured that if I ever wore it in the winter, this would be perfect.
Yeah,
so,
it's really nice.
So the Melisandre that I made was, gosh, I can't remember which season, but she was walking on the beach in it, and she had the big cloak. It was getting all dirty, and I wanted that one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's really, really nice. It's like, and then it's two different fabrics. You've got one fabric for the cloak and another one for the collar.
Yeah, the collar's, like, the scarf piece is actually attached. So I think cloak, it might be attached. So I kind of had to look and guess. Yeah. Because of the weird ways it was worn. So it helps keep the cloak on. And then she's got these weird slits on the side. So I actually had to, like, look at it closely, and I had, like, I got the fabric super cheap at Fabricland, but I sewed in all those lines.
Yes, yeah, which looks amazing. To create that shaping over the shoulders.
Yeah, so it turned out good. It just took forever.
Really, so you haven't worn it yet then?
No, not out in public.
Not in public yet. Okay, so we'll look forward to seeing that then. Okay, so next, so this is Sons of the Harpy.
Oh, there's the dress without any embroidery.
Oh, okay. Wow. Well, it's kind of like Danny in a way anyway, because as as the seasons go on, she gets more and more embroidery. So you started out with embroidery, and and you actually, the necklace you have there is
different.
It's like the I think it's like the dragon claw or something they were calling it.
Yeah, so I had one made out of, like, oven baked clay for, like, the slave one, and then I made this one as well just because I liked it. I wanted to wear it.
Actually, I didn't show the picture of the slave collar. Where is? Well, you're wearing it here. So you've got how did you make the slave collar one?
It's just made out of black oven baked clay. I think it's the brand Emo or something like that.
And how do you put it on though?
So there's a bit of a gap in the back with the neck, and then I attached a chain and a clasp to it.
Sure, kind of like how you did with Mel's. This one, you've got like a chain. You did something similar to that?
Yeah, I ended up getting rid of that because it kept breaking, so I put a ribbon in instead.
Oh, ribbon's good. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. Okay, so so tell us about this one. And who's wearing this, by the way?
That's my husband.
Oh, it is your husband. Okay.
Yeah. So the Sons of the Harpy mask, I just cellophane mold of my husband's face, and then cut out the pattern, and I cut darts into it.
Oh my God, that must have been like really. Did you get a picture of that?
Maybe, I can't remember.
You don't have to show it to me. Wondering. That would just be funny to have on hand.
We usually take photos of weird things like that. So but yeah, so we cut darts into it. So there's a foam base, and then over top of it is, again, like kitchen vinyl.
Yep.
Like weaved gold that's been aged and worn out in places. So
yeah, it looks great.
Yeah, I used the same pattern but expanded it so it could wrap around. And you can see one of the darts. I tried to get rid of it, but to make it look aged like that on the cheek, you can kind of just make it out.
Okay.
But
I don't see it.
get rid of some of the patterning, I used caulking.
Okay.
And I just caulking over it and then spread it out with a bit of water to get rid of some of the detail here and there.
Okay.
And then the horns are made out of thicker foam that I dremeled and cut into shape with another thin piece over top. And I put wire inside of it. I just fed it through so that I could bend it into shape and it would stay kind of pointed out. The piece on the top is cut out of foam, and then it's just like googly eyes. So if you shake it.
Oh, yeah. That's funny.
Yeah, and then the rest, like the mouth, is foam that I dremeled and cut into shape. And then I just it gold and then aged it with paint, and then I bleached some fabric here and there to make it look gold and attached it.
But it looks like you had to put holes along the edge and then you laced them.
Yeah, so I had to dremel holes into it for I could get it in there.
Yeah, it looks so good. You must have been really happy with that result.
Yeah, and it didn't take very long. I'm always happy when things don't take long because everything else takes so much time. But work tends to go along a lot faster. So anytime I'm like, I need a break, I need something quick. Let's do something.
So now in terms of like doing the tying on the costume, were you playing around with a different, some different techniques to do that?
Yeah, so I had to keep like seeing how long of fabric I needed. So I kind of looked at it and like, I think it's tied this way. So just guesswork.
It must have been quite long.
I think so. I don't untie it because I don't want to do it again. So I just kind of pull it back over my husband's head, and then some of it has to be undone, but otherwise I try to get him to just slip out of it.
Sure. Okay. And then the tunic is just sort of a simple tunic?
Yeah.
So I picture her.
Traced a pattern of a shirt he already had and made it. He didn't want it like a dress because he didn't like it that long. So he wanted it more like a shirt. Because in the show they're length gowns almost, and he's like, I don't want that. I'm gonna wear pants.
Yeah, so here on the bottom right, everyone.
Yeah, my friend is
your friend. Yeah, right. That's what I was wondering. I was like, you're saying it's your husband under there, but I'm like, but wait a second, he's in the picture.
No, that's our friend Vince.
Oh, 30 Days is asking where the googly guys at. They're painted over. I'm getting some feedback here. Sorry.
Yeah. So when you look at a lot of costumes, you would never guess what's underneath all the paint.
It's the magic.
Movie magic. So like a lot of times there's things you wouldn't imagine under paint to get the right feeling of it. So yeah, that's googly eyes. And it works really well for any kind of like rips or anything you need on something.
Yeah.
Want to spend the money on it, just get a pack of googly eyes.
Exactly. And they come in different shapes too. Or sorry, different. So tell us about this one. So this is the one that you originally sent me.
Yeah, so I made this one because I wanted to practice embroidery before making Circe's red dress with the dragons on the shoulders. So I figured this would be a good practice dress before that because it seems like there's more embroidery on the other one. So I decided to just get some cheap fabric and try it out. So yeah, it ended up looking really nice. I spent more time on this than my own wedding dress.
Oh my gosh.
Because there's like 200 hours of embroidery work on that thing. And like everything. So it takes a long time, but yeah.
So
surprise.
So what event are you at here?
Sorry?
What event are you at here?
This is Icon. So the anime convention in Winnipeg. And this was just this previous summer.
Sorry, it was just this previous summer?
Yeah, so summer 2018.
Okay. And now you told me you ended up winning. You won what?
I got first place Masters Division.
That's amazing.
Thanks.
Yeah. The lighting on the show, I love that picture here with the green and the orange.
Sorry?
I like the lighting on the center picture of you there with your wine glass.
Yeah. Unfortunately, like the wig I have isn't lace front, so that's like the one thing I just hate about this. Is lace front wigs are so expensive.
Yeah.
So I want to see if I can make just a faux like lace front to attach to the wig because I don't want to spend $200 on a long blonde wig that's lace front. But this wigs and it's a really nice wig.
I think some people do that. They do add the lace to an existing wig, don't they?
I think that's a thing. It's really hard to find like how to make your own lace front, like how to weave it online. I would like to learn how to do that so I can improve my wigs, because all of my wigs are not lace front because they would be so expensive. I like to make costumes pretty quickly, and there would just be so much money just in wigs alone. The wigs would cost more than the costumes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't care about the wigs. I like the costumes more.
So now this one, did you find an existing corset or did you make that corset?
I just did, again, a cellophane pattern, cut it out, added the allowance, and sewed it up in a day. It was actually a video that I made the undergarments because I didn't even notice them. And then I was rewatching the videos to see if there was anything else about her costume. And you're like, oh, the undergarments. This is really, I should make the undergarments. So like a couple days before the convention, I whipped up the corset. And then the skirt I had already, like it was a mock-up for my wedding dress, so I just
that's great. That worked out well.
cut off the skirt and from the top and made it, which is I'm glad I did because it made the dress like sit a lot better.
Yeah, that's what I think. That's what I've noticed about the silhouette, like for Sansa and Cersei. They're both wearing the corsets that it just, I don't know, it sort of sits a little bit like it kind of gives them the the décolletage. A little bit.
And it makes the obi sit better as well, because even in Japanese clothing, they have a plastic piece that they put underneath the obi so that your stomach doesn't squish in with it.
Oh, okay.
Misshape the obi.
Xenon Faye is asking, a very well-deserved first place. Did you embroider the details on tulle first and then transfer it onto the fabric, or did you embroider it directly onto the fabric? And we've got a picture of that, I think, here.
Yeah, so there's no real good way to embroider it directly onto the dress because of the way the dress is sewn. So you have to put it onto chiffon first. So I just got some bridal chiffon from Fabricland. It's super cheap, and then you just trace your pattern onto it and embroider everything on. So the first thing I did was I would lay down the feathers and stitch them on so that I can overlay all the embroidery on top of it. And then there's a felt, or not felt, velvet, red velvet chest piece and that's the same fabric I used for my Arwen dress, so it was great. I already had it. And yeah, all the feathers were from the dollar store, I think, but I just kind of hand dyed the blue ones so they weren't so like comically blue. And
then also, sorry, go ahead.
I chose to use more like fluffy feathers for the stomach because I thought it looked better than the stiffer feathers that Michelle Carragher actually used because it looked softer.
And then and here's some, I mean, these are a little bit darker, everybody, but here, and then so you put it on the organza first and then you applicate it, and then but then all this other trim you sort of like, what is it thread that you've couched on there? How did you do that?
Yeah, so because I don't again have the Italian mesh wire, I braided a whole bunch of embroidery floss. So beige and a little bit of gold that I just braided together, and then I applied it onto the dress using like kind of a herringbone stitch to kind of mesh it in with the braid.
There's a picture of it on the bottom left there. You doing that?
Yeah, that took a long time.
Yeah, I can imagine. And then what about all these little beads?
There's 4,500 beads after I counted the amount of ounces I used, which again are like sewn on by one. Wow. So that was so there's lots of little details.
So did you do this like, well, like what would you listen to music, or what do you do when you're embroidering? Because I know Romy said I think she listens to audiobooks. Is there something you do while you're doing embroidery?
I watch YouTube videos sometimes, or tutorials while I'm doing stuff, or I watch series. Like I think I watched some RuPaul and maybe some Xena. I rewatch some of Game of Thrones. So I watch a lot of either YouTube or like I stream stuff online.
Yeah. Now, what kind? You said this wasn't a very expensive fabric, but it looks really nice. What kind of fabric is that?
It's the back side of like a silky, like fake satin. So I didn't want something too dull, and I didn't want something too shiny, like costumey. So using the back side of fabric is a good idea. So if I were to flip over the dress, you would see that it's like the same color but shiny.
Oh, 30 days wants to know how it's attached. Do you mean the appliques after? I think that's what he means. Like you trim, like after you know, do the embroidery applique, you trim it back. Do you not?
Yeah, so you flip it over when you're done and use white glue on the back to just the edges. You don't need it all over the back. So that when you trim it out, the chiffon doesn't fray and the stitching doesn't come out. So after I trimmed it, I added a few more feathers on the back. So I just stitched it on with some thread that you can't see to fill it up a bit. And then I stitched it onto the dress, like not with tons and tons of stitches, but enough to keep it down so that if I had to remove it to clean it, I could.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So actually, that's a good question. How would you clean something like this? Or could you clean it? How would you clean something like this, or can you?
Well, if the bird itself got dirty, I would remove it. And if make a new one, I would just stick it, like make a new one and stick it back on. But otherwise, the dress itself, I think it would be okay to clean as long as nothing got on the beige embroidery part, because that would be harder to clean. But I think it's like, not machine wash, but like you could spot clean it probably.
Sure, yeah.
Because it's not real silk. The thing I learned from working at the ballet is silk is just the worst fabric to use. It looks pretty for the time, but then it ages for sure.
Yeah, and then if you have, you know, any oils in your hands or whatever, it'll, you know, absorb the oil and just get discolored over time. And it rots, you know, any with light or sun or anything like that, it'll eventually just rot because it's natural.
Yeah, so the Winnipeg Ballet has tons of gorgeous costumes made of silk, but like if on stage it looks great, but when you look at it close, there's repair work everywhere because it rots apart. You sweat in it when you're dancing, and yeah, it's too bad.
Absolutely. Now this is the belt, Circe's belt, which you said actually when you did this, you sort of like it informed you on the. Oh, sorry, no, it was the links. You said you used the same ones to do the. I can't remember.
Yeah, just to attach the pieces.
Yeah. So tell us about this. Is this Worbla as well?
Yeah. So the belt piece is just 2 pieces of Worbla stuck together, and then I used wire and pressed it into the back to make the bump up, and then I could just pull out the wire after.
Okay.
And I for a pasta pot to get the curve shape. There's actually a tutorial online on how to do it, and there's patterns available, but I found the pattern didn't have the right amount of like holes on the side and the right shape, so I had to alter it a bit. So I online pattern but altered it and painted it with different layers. The Worbla is a lot of people like to put wood glue over top of it to make it more flush, but I don't like doing that because it starts to fill in cracks, and so there's like a wrong side and a right side to Worbla, and I use the wrong side, which is the shiny side, so it's a lot more flat when I'm making stuff. And I use a silicone. I use like a Betty Crocker silicone mat, so when I press it down, it's pressing into silicone, so it keeps a nice flush texture.
Oh, okay. How do you do? Sorry, go ahead.
If you don't prime something when you paint Worbla, it'll chip off. But what I did was I spray paint it, clear coat it, acrylic, like 1 layer of acrylic, coat it. So you just had to do it in layers that way. Otherwise, once you do more and more acrylic, you'll just rub off the previous acrylic. So just keep clear coating it.
Now, is that the first time you've done
I did it a little bit before for one of my husband's costumes that isn't finished yet, of course, for Legend of Zelda. I made it out of like bigger chains because it was like more comical looking chainmail. So I'm kind of familiar with it. But once you get going with it, it's actually not hard.
Okay. So you like doing it?
Yeah. I just hate cutting the links because all of the links are hand cut.
Oh, okay.
So it's really tiring. I had to get a new pair of wire cutters.
Okay.
So the belt itself cost me a lot more money than I originally intended. It cost a lot less. Just the wire itself was like.
Well, the good thing is if you do go to do the red dress, you'll be able to use the same belt.
Yeah. I fell in love with the color of the wire from Michael's because it's not gold. Yeah. It's like bronze color, which you can't find anymore. So I decided to kind of splurge on that, but it looked really good in the end.
Now, are you planning on making the red dress?
Eventually I have the fabric for it and everything, so.
Oh, you do have the
Just,
fabric.
yeah, I have all the costumes lined up that I want to make, but I don't have time to make them all yet.
No, of course. Yeah. Okay, so now this is just a little bit because I don't know a lot about you because obviously we've just met, but I know you spent some time in Japan. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, I spent 4 years in Japan teaching English in Akita Prefecture, which is one of the northernmost prefectures on the main island. It was awesome. Both my husband and I worked there teaching English in high schools, and we would travel a lot. So a couple of summers ago, we went back to visit our friends there, and we also went to Kyoto because one of the things on my bucket list I wanted to do was dress up like a Maiko in Kyoto. And they have like little boutiques you can go to where you can do that, and you can walk around and have your photos taken. So
it's so cool. Here, I'll go ahead and advance it here. So here's both of you dressed up, and then on the right is they're doing your hair. There's your hair is red at that time, I guess, right?
Yeah, so I kind of look like what's his name? Oh,
you were saying Boy George.
Yeah, Boy George. Yeah.
That's awesome.
What it actually is that they do for women in Japan, because in order to do this to your real hair, you're risking bald by doing it, because they have to like put like where the red ribbon is on the top, they stitch it into your hair, and it just rubs over time, and like real geisha end up with a bald spot on their head. So it's actually a helmet made of this like straw-like wig, and they comb your hair into it.
Okay.
And then they spray paint your hair black.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Because I was trying to figure out what's going on here.
Yeah, so the effect looks real. So right there in this picture, she's actually stitching it to my hair. So they pull your hair back in a ponytail, and they like, I can't remember if they braid it or not, but they like sew it in. And I guess their heads are bigger than my head. I have a small head, so it's kind of like flopping around like a helmet.
Wow.
But a metal thing with like straw coming out of it. It was really funny. I didn't know that that's how it was done. So even for like brides, when they dress up like this for their weddings, it's a big wig like that.
So what if you have short hair though? What do they do? Or do you know?
If you have short hair, they'd probably just take your hair and just whatever they can work with, or you just have a line around the edge, I guess. I don't
know. Now, how long did it take to get dressed?
Not as long as I thought. They're like, this is a pretty like more well-known place to do this. So they have a huge, and they just like factory you out, but they're really good at it. It was called Aya or something. I can't remember. I have it on my Facebook. But they were awesome. I think it took maybe an hour to get totally ready, which was actually pretty outstanding for makeup, getting the kimono on and everything.
So it looks like they do your face makeup first, and then your hair, and then the kimono.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And it looks like it's got multiple layers. Like you're wearing multiple kimono.
The kimono?
Yeah. Are you wearing multiple layers?
Right, yeah, so there's like an underwear piece that you put on to protect the kimono. Made of silk, and then there's like an undergarment that has like a scarf, like the collar piece attached to it. And then the main kimono, I don't think there was too much. It's not like getting done up for a wedding in Japan where there's like 7 kimonos. But there's at least 3 or 4 layers in there.
Wow, it's beautiful. And then your husband, his isn't as complicated, obviously.
No, it took no time to move on.
Now the hair pieces, were there hair sticks, or is that what they were? The flowers?
There's all kinds of things. So I don't know what you call them in Japanese. Like kanzashi is the one with the flowers on it that dangle down, and then there's the one with the little charm things that dangle down. And then there's a little stick in the back as well. Yeah.
So that's all. Is that sort of just all at the very end? Oh, what about the socks and the shoes? Did you do that as well?
Yeah. Oh, they're huge shoes too. And I don't know how geisha walk around looking as graceful as they do, because they're the most clumsy things. And you have to walk on like thick cobblestone roads. So when you actually see them running around, they're like floating. But you can tell mistakes because we're just hobbling everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Cindy
see
want to know how long it took to do your hair.
The hair probably took about 10 minutes.
Really? That's not very long at all.
Because it's a helmet, and they just throw your hair back, put the helmet on, stitch it on, and comb your hair back into the thing and spray it. Mm-hmm. They use like that Halloween black spray.
Mm-hmm. Now, this one you were dressed for, but now these pictures here, this is back in Winnipeg, I think. Is that right?
Yes.
So what was going on here?
Every year in Winnipeg, we have the largest multicultural festival in the world. It's called Folk. So every different culture gets to hold a pavilion where they sell food and they have performances and they have cultural displays. Mm-hmm. So it's 2 weeks, and each week there's a whole bunch of different countries that'll be represented there. So I usually volunteer at the Japanese pavilion as part of the JET program, because I went to the JET program, which is one of the largest teaching exchange programs in the world. So to promote like the exchange of culture, we promote traveling to Japan and going to Japan on the JET program.
Mm-hmm. Now
that dress up.
That's so fun. So the I think it's called a Furosode or something. You can tell me if I'm whatever. The one that's on the how do you say it? Sorry?
Furisode.
Okay. So the one that's on the mannequin there, the display, where's that from?
Well, I believe that belongs to the girl who's standing in the middle on the left photo. Her name is Cindy. Sure. She's got like the largest collection of kimono probably in Canada or the world, I don't know. But she's apparently got like bins and bins and bins of stuff, and I've seen a ton of it. She usually holds the cultural display by herself sometimes of all the stuff she has. So I believe that belongs to her. Mm-hmm. That's part of a wedding kimono in Japan.
But the one that you're wearing, where did that come from?
That one I bought in Tokyo. It's a secondhand kimono. So I got it pretty cheap because it has a couple soy sauce stains on it.
That's awesome. So do you have all of the pieces then? You've got the socks and the shoes, and you've got the undergarment, hadijiban or whatever it's called, and all that?
Yeah. The thing I didn't know about kimono was how many pieces come with it. Because I think a lot of people go to like souvenir shops and like, I want to get a kimono. I'm like, if you want to wear it, you're going to be spending some money. So
yeah. I think a lot of times when people think of kimono, they think of, like a dressing gown. They're thinking of that type of thing. Like that would have been, that women might have worn in the 40s.
There's some that, like, there's so many different kinds of kimono in Japan. There's the kind that you wear when you're coming out of the bath, and there's the kind you wear in the summer. So there's all kinds for graduation. So, yeah. So if you just want to wear, like, a regular one out of the bath, like, you can do that, but you don't wear it outside.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then, no, of course not. And then we'll go back to this one. Now, this is such a great picture. This is totally like I didn't have it in with the regular ones because I think this is a Halloween costume.
That was just something I threw on for Halloween for work.
But did you make it?
Yeah, it was something I made for my husband, but it didn't fit him. So I was like, I'll just wear it one day.
Oh, okay. But it's like a stocking cap that you're wearing?
Yeah, so I made him a little cap, and I made the toque, but unfortunately I made it just too small, so he couldn't pull it over his head.
And this the wig looks like your orange one. It looks like the same kind of style.
Yeah, I got that on eBay from somewhere. Can't remember.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Generic wig.
Yeah. So here, I'm just going to go back to you. Here, guys, we're kind of finishing up on the slideshow. So I know I saw a sneak peek of Xena. So what are you working on now? What costumes are you working on?
Well, I'm in between the Samus and the Xena. So where I'm at right now, I'm finishing up a teaching contract, so I'm really busy with marking and planning that. So I haven't posted to Instagram in a week or two, but once that's done, I'll have more free time because I'll be full time at the ballet, and I won't be working from 8 till 7 anymore.
Oh my God, Melissa! So we're almost at the end of the live stream, and you finally showed up on my monitor. Isn't that weird? Hi, Melissa.
Hi.
I was having some technical difficulties, guys, so she wasn't on my monitor all this time. So I could see you on my phone, but there you are in your workroom with all your costumes on display. It looks so nice. So and now tell me, like, I know you had messaged me that you got a job at the Royal Winnipeg Ballet. How long have you been there now?
Just over a month. So I got hired part-time while teaching at the university. While when that contract's done, then I'll be full-time at the ballet. And right now I'm the school costume coordinator. So the ballet has like the private school side and a recreational side, but also like their professional company side where they pay dancers. So I'm doing the costumes for the school side.
Yeah. Yeah, and if any of you guys don't know, like the Royal Winnipeg Ballet is one of the, they're very internationally recognized. It's a wonderful company. I saw, actually, one of the shows I saw there was the Nutcracker many years ago. It was amazing. I think Evelyn Hart was in it. She's this very famous Canadian ballet dancer.
She's so nice. She's been running around the ballet.
Is she still involved then? Because she's got to be up there.
She's going to be in a performance called Vespers. Like, I don't know anything about ballet, which is terrible because I work for the ballet. And when I met her, I was like, she is the nicest little person. She comes in like early in the morning. She's like, today is a wonderful day. How are you guys? I'm so happy. Like,
yeah. Because she's got to be, I think she's got to be in her 60s.
She's 61, I think. And she is just the loveliest person. So I was like, I don't know her as a dancer, but as a person, she's amazing. She just my day.
Yeah, I've met Karen Kane, who's in Canada. She's our big sort of ballet dancer because I used to work with her husband, who runs a theater company in Toronto. And same thing. She's just like such a quiet, sort of just sweet, kind of unassuming person. So, but Evelyn Hart, I always remembered her. So I'm really glad to hear that she's still involved.
Oh yeah.
So, well, that's really exciting for you then. That you're kind of going from one sort of area in your life into this new sort of thing. You must be, that must be exciting. Are you hoping to eventually work in the actual wardrobe?
Well, my job is in the wardrobe and I get to do some sewing here and there. Mostly my job is to plan for the costumes, but the sewing jobs themselves aren't like salaried positions. So I need a full-time salary job.
Oh, okay. So they're just contract jobs. Well, how many shows a year does the ballet do?
Gosh, I don't know. I know the Nutcracker tour right now. And then there's a Wizard of Oz one. They did The Handmaid's Tale. Vespers is coming up. So the company shows, there's quite a few a year. And then the recreational and school side, they also do a bunch within the community also.
Okay.
Some of the bigger shows as well.
Oh, Xenon Face said you just got a new Instagram follower. Yeah. So guys, if you want to follow Melissa, she is on Instagram. She's on Facebook. I've put your link in the description. I'm just going to go back to here. Sorry, guys. I'm just going to move off of this. I still have your slideshow up here. So let me go here. There I am. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm back. Yeah, we've got your both your links. Is there anywhere else that people can find you? You don't have a website, I don't think, right?
I do have a website. It's a WordPress site just to work as a portfolio for me. So I think it's brainstarcosplay.wordpress.com. So all of my handles, my Facebook is Brainstar Cosplay, my Instagram is Brainstar Cosplay. So I just chose a name so that I can like be searchable.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you were saying originally, because you had students, it would have been kind of weird if they had, followed you. So
yeah, because as a high school teacher, my Facebook name for the longest time was Samus Node, so that students couldn't really find me. And then Facebook wouldn't let me change it until recently, because yesterday I also changed my last name to my husband's name, so I had to change it again.
Oh, that's so much work, isn't it? I found that to be a lot of work.
Yeah,
you can either just assume it, but if you want to legally change it, I remember when I did it, it was a couple of steps. You had to like provide your marriage certificate, and then you had to like say to get your SIN card changed and all that. So, well, hopefully once you've done that, it'll be good.
Yeah, I assumed it yesterday and then forgot I also needed to make a new signature for my new last name. So I had to like retake my photo a whole bunch of new times and sign it again. And make up a new signature on the fly.
Yeah. Oh, and yeah, Pretty Dark 30 Days is on Instagram. I'm on Instagram, so we should just all be on Instagram, everybody. So you guys should follow Melissa. You should follow me, and then I'll follow you back. I usually follow everybody back. Do you follow people back? Are you one of those people who's like, no, I'm too good. I'm not going to follow you back. I'm a famous cosplayer. I am not following you minions back.
I don't have many like followers at all. Usually people that follow me are like companies, so I'm not following a company.
No, yeah. But yeah, Brainstar Cosplay will follow you back for sure. No, I just laugh because I'll see these people. Sometimes they're like, you know, they've got a little bit of notoriety in the cosplay community, and they won't follow you back. But I always follow people back because I always think that's, you know, unless they're trying to spam me or something. But I always follow people back. I always want to, you know, especially if they're interested in costumes. I love that. Well, anyway, so does anyone in the chat have any questions for Melissa? Sorry, the orientation. It's so strange because Melissa's now on my screen, so I can actually see her. It's been odd having a conversation with you for like 2 hours without being able to see you. Pretty Dark says, I'm on Instagram. I am everpretty2589. So everyone go over and follow her. Pretty Dark, I'm going to follow you, okay? I don't know Costume Co had an Instagram. I'm following right now. Yeah, okay. I have to admit, I'm not that active on Instagram. I'm much older than some of you people. So I finally joined Instagram, and I'm really, really bad. I'm on Twitter though. That's sort of where I'm active. I know Melissa's not on Instagram. She's on Facebook though. So, and the other thing I was going to tell you guys, anyone's interested in Game of Thrones, I started this group, like, you know, Melissa, you might want to be in this group with us, where we kind of like, you know, if we want to analyze something about a costume or kind of obsess over something regarding Game of Thrones, I started a group called the Game of Thrones Analysis of Game of Thrones Costumes, I think I called it, on Facebook. So if anybody wants to, oh, Pretty Dark's 44. Well, you're just an old lady, aren't you? No, I'm kidding. Oh, Pretty Dark, I'm 51. So, you know, you're still, to me, you're still like a young lady. I can't talk to you on Facebook. Well, oh, why not? She says, and I can't talk to you on Facebook. I don't know why that is. She can explain why. So, anyway, yeah, so if anyone wants to join that group, I put it in the link just in the description below. I just started the group a couple of weeks ago, so there's only like 16 of us in there. It's really small, but I just thought it would be fun because there is a Game of Thrones group where they talk about, Melissa, you probably know this group. I think it's called Game of Thrones Costumes, where they just like say if you want to know where to find fabric or how they did a certain thing, or, you know, what they made something out of, or where you can source it. They have all this information, but there was nothing really about just like, hey, I want to analyze something about, you know, some symbolism, or maybe I want to know what the historical reference is to that, or where Michelle took inspiration from in terms of art or architecture or what have you. I just thought that would be a fun group for anybody who wants to geek out on the costumes of Game of Thrones. And I thought since the new season's coming out, that would just be a really fun thing to do. So will you join that group, Melissa? No pressure. But if anyone's in the chat, yeah, it'd just be kind of fun, right?
Speculate what's going to happen in the future for the costumes.
Yeah.
Like how red will Daenerys wear and that kind of thing.
Yes. And there's been a lot of like, you know, everyone's really excited, and we haven't had a trailer yet. So when the first trailer comes out, that's going to be kind of, everyone's going to be like, oh my God.
And I'm predicting maternity clothes will be a big thing for the next
maternity season. Clothes. Yes.
Well, yes. Think of how many babies may be coming along. Yeah.
Exactly. 30 Days says, I'm only on it because of YouTube business stuff. Yes. So 30 Days has everyone who is in the chat who doesn't know 30 Days. He does, he does like, reviews of products like beard products, mustache products, grooming products for men. He's got like a nice twirly, one of those twirly mustaches. And so he'll try a product out for 30 days and then he'll do a review on it. Pretty Dark says, she said, laugh out loud. I'm simple, just at Xenon Faye. Content is sewing, activism, and puppies. Well, those are 3 great things right there. She said, Pretty Dark says, I don't know, when you're all locked down on Facebook, I'm not allowed to follow your page. Oh, really? That's weird. Okay, Pretty Dark, can you send me a message and then I'll follow you? You know what happened? I had okay, so this is what happened. I kind of try to keep my Facebook private. Like, I don't know if you do this. So I have the costume page for like for the channel. And then I have my regular page, like my home, like, you know, my Facebook page for my friends and family, because honestly, no one in my family wants to hear about my YouTube channel. They're just like, they're not interested at all. So I tend to not do anything about that. And then what I've done is, you can't really friend me, because sometimes I'll get like weird people like in the YouTube community trying to friend me. So I'll just like, you know, like, so the other day, Romy wanted to friend me. I said, okay, Romy, I've got it locked up, but I'll friend you and then you can friend me back. And she said, okay. So I had it open, and then some weirdo guy tried to follow me. And I was like, someone I'd never seen before. Like, he wasn't from like Twitter or someone that I knew in the community. So I just tend to keep it private, because, you know, I've got pictures of my kids on there. So I just don't want to. So that's the reason why. So Pretty Dark, if you can just private message me, and then and then we can work that out. Okay. And then Xenon Faye says, is my Instagram and my Twitter as well. Xenon Faye. Okay, so guys, we're all going to go and follow each other, okay? And you'll find Melissa as well. And then we can all be connected that way. I think that'd be awesome. Trying to make this community, because Pretty Dark's from Winnipeg and Melissa's from Winnipeg, and I used to live in Winnipeg. And someone was here from Montreal, so all of us Canadians need to sort of like get together. And so, one more question, Melissa: will you ever come to Toronto and go to Toronto Comic Con? Would you ever do that?
I would love to. So if the guests that are appearing are some people that I want to see, then I definitely go.
Yeah. So if you ever come, you'll have to come, and I'll bring you as my guest.
I think the whole cast, was it Toronto where the whole cast of like Rocky Horror Picture Show went?
I don't know. Well, this year we had Back to the Future. The whole cast of Back to the Future was there. But they might have had Rocky Horror at one point. It might have been before I went. Like, I've been only going for the last 2 years. So maybe, I went to the winter one. So they have like a smaller one in the winter, and then they do the big one in the summer. Pretty Dark says, oh, it's impossible to contact you. Laugh out loud. Not my fault. Yes. Sorry, guys. And, you know, I'm an old lady. I'm not good with like, you know, computer stuff. So I sometimes, as I was saying, when we first started this live stream and I couldn't figure out what was going on with the picture. And I said, oh my God, Jack's not here. Everyone in the chat knows who Jack is, mostly, who's my husband.
Your husbands aren't around. What do we do?
There are husbands. So what's going on? I don't know. And so anyway, so this is what happens with doing live. We have these things happen, but I'm glad everyone could see you. Yeah, and 30 Days says, I'm only an hour from Canada. So I've already told 30 Days that he's an honorable Canadian, an honorary Canadian, because he lives in North Dakota. So he knows what our winters are like. I mean, I'm not complaining, because we have, obviously, our winters in Toronto are much milder than yours.
Like summer.
Like, well, I was so mad at my brother. So I told you my brother's from Winnipeg. So he comes here. And he wants to take my mom out, but my mom's like 84. And I said, okay, if you're going to take mom out, make sure that you dress her warm, because she's pretty frail and she needs to be dressed warm. And I want to make sure she's comfortable and everything. And then he comes and shows up at my house last night, and my mom's wearing like a spring jacket. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, Mom's not even dressed properly. And it was maybe like -6 here or something. It wasn't terribly cold, but he's like, what are you talking about? It's warm out there. And I'm like, well, for you, first of all, you live in Winnipeg. And secondly, you're not in your 80s. So I was really mad at him about that he didn't dress my poor mother warm enough. And my mom's like, she's the type of person, if you say, Mom, are you warm enough? She'll be like, oh yeah, but she may not be. Then she'll be shivering or something. So I was a little bit annoyed at him about that. So anyway, so guys, we're going to start saying goodbye. I'm just trying to think. Before we head out, I just wanted to let you know that, here, I'll just put it on here. I just wanted to let you all know that next week, I'm not going to be doing live streams in December because, as I think a lot of you knew, I was working on my book and I'm trying to get it done. So for December and the holidays, there's not going to be any live streams, but I'm going to have more videos coming out. I haven't had a regular video for like over a couple of weeks, I think. So we'll have a regular video, and Romy's going to come back at some point too. So that any kind of new live streams at this point will be in January. And what else have I got? So yeah, I had Sleepy Hollow. We were going to be working on the top 20 best men's costumes with Aaron and Tatiana. And I don't think anything else I had to tell you. But I think that's it. So I just want to thank Melissa so much for coming on and putting up with the tech issues. Oh, what's my Instagram? I think it's Costume Co. Or maybe it's costume cinemato. I think it's costume. I think if you put Costume Co, you should be able to find it. Maybe it's costume cinemato. Here, let me.
Yeah, costume cinemato.
Is it? Okay. Sorry, guys. I think what happened is I couldn't use Costume Co. So cinemato. There we go. Okay. Hopefully that's it. Thank you. An awesome costume, says 30 days. Thanks for the great conversation, guys. Pretty Dark says, thanks so much, Melissa, for coming.
Thanks for having me.
So bye, everybody. So we'll see you again. Y'all see you in my next video. It won't be a live stream. Here, Melissa, I'm going to put it on you. She's saying goodbye. Oh, no, I have it on you. Sorry, there you are. Melissa's saying goodbye. Bye, everybody. Okay.